I am not a bear.
Well,
You're the bear guy.
I'm a bear wielder.
You're
What
the
do you
bear
do if
thrower.
what if your guy's a bear wielder instead of a bear itself?
my favorite memes to come out of this are all the ones where the men and the bears team up.
Oh yeah.
So should I do you want me to do an ad read? I got an ad read.
Ad read first.
Okay. Today's episode of Porch Time is sponsored by Hallow Prayer.
Yeah.
As read by Richard Dawkins. Ever feel a bit uninspired in your supplications, worn down by the sheer mundanity of whispering to the cosmos? Well, fret no more. Hollow Prayer is here to commodify your piety in the most gloriously capitalist way possible. That's right, folks. Now you can purchase pre-written prayers on a convenient app. No more bothersome existential dread or contemplating the sheer improbability of divine intervention. Hallow Prayer offers a one-stop shop for outsourcing your soul searching for a reasonable fee, of course. So ditch the dusty scrolls and embrace the digital divine. Download Hallow Prayer today and experience the irony firsthand.
I mean, Hollow Prayer has got to be one of the cringiest companies ever. Like, that's one of those things where it's like when Shapiro shills for him, it's like,
would you like to purchase prayer? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
God
like,
I don't have to actually talk to God or whatever.
it's like, I don't know, because I mean, if you had because Ben Shapiro pretends to have morals and principles, right? He's like, oh, I wouldn't ever shill for a company that is bullshit. Selling prayer, because all of the biblical problems with it, isn't that priestcraft? Isn't literally digital priestcraft?
What if you used it to get bears attack? I mean, I don't think
it's probably a little bit of priestcraft and probably a little bit of idol worship because they use Mark Wahlberg to hawk it too.
Oh yeah,
say prayers with celebrities like Mark Wahlberg, and that's it.
There's a bunch of people do it.
Although Kevin Sorbo's on there.
The who is it? The guy, the Freedom Tunes, his ad that he did for it. I just appreciate the ad because it was brilliant. It was hilarious.
What did he do?
He did the whole thing is just like a WWE wrestler yelling the whole time.
That's right.
About the prayer, yeah. And, it was great.
I had a funny interaction today. Me and the the moderately left-leaning guy at work, basically, liberal atheist dude. We were talking about the whole Israel-Palestine thing, and he was asking me what I thought about it. I was like, I really don't know a whole lot about Israel and Palestine. I do know that if I had to choose a state to live in, it'd be Israel 1,000 times over. And it's definitely a better state. And he's like, why is that? I was like, well, I mean, they're more liberal for sure. And he's like, he looks at me like I'm an idiot. And he's like, a liberal? You call Israel liberal? Why? I was like, well, I mean, they legalized gay marriage way before we did. That's one example. Yeah. And he's like, you might call that liberal. You might call it conservative. I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, that's their traditional values. I was like, Israel, Jews' traditional values is gay marriage? And he's like, yeah, it doesn't say anywhere in the Torah anything about gay marriage. And I was like, it talks about homosexuality pretty frequently. Well, not frequently, but pretty condemnatory, right? And he's like, well, actually, I've been listening to this guy, Dan McClellan. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And there it is.
So,
yay.
So he's like, yeah. He actually did.
Wait. So he made all the way the jump from the Bible isn't particularly clear on homosexuality to actually the Jews have always been cool with the gays.
I think he was just offended that I called Israel liberal. He was like, wait a minute, I'm liberal and I don't like Israel very much.
Except he's probably not liberal, right? He's probably leftist,
well,
authoritarian, or no?
I don't know. He's just kind of a normie, left-leaning guy. He's definitely left, but normie Bernie
he's been convinced that he's got the this is the what is it? I was just listening to
But it was funny because the one thing that we did, he asked me why I didn't like Dan McClellan, and the first thing I said was, well, first off, he's lying. He's clearly an atheist, and somebody needs to tell him it's okay to be atheist. And he's like, oh yeah, he's definitely an atheist. That bothers me.
He agrees with you there.
Yeah, he definitely agrees with me there.
So your friend's not a liar.
No. Well, and he, and he was talking about. He's like, so he goes in. He has a good explanation of the Bible's passages on homosexuality. He's like, yeah, he says that the butt fucker was okay, and the butt fucky was the real sinner. So like, that's his whole thing. He's like, yeah. And I mean, he's got the credentials to prove it. It's like, I know he's got the credentials. He doesn't shut the fuck up about him.
Yeah.
Look at this. We got a new listener because Streeter shouted us out. Dinosaur Park and such. Yeah. Welcome. There's dozens of us. Plus one. Plus one.
But I think like the guy, he fell into that the mystification thing where like, because like you say, oh, he's just a normie, but like he's convinced now, like, oh, I am one of the intelligent people. I'm ahead of the social curve. I'm up to date with the latest on biblical scholarship, so I know that the Jews have always been cool with gays. Like that's how magically easily that works. It's that simple to just create that idea, and now it's part of our life. And now we get to spend our time slowly unraveling that, trying to undo that. Like, no.
So,
like,
Flip, did you get a chance to go up and chit chat with any of the University of Utah protesters, or did it all get busted up before you could?
I never even tried. I mean, I kind of knew better than to try, but I really wanted to. I really thought about just going to Kinko's and making 200 copies of the Hamas Charter and just being like, here you go. Tell me when you get to your favorite part.
Yeah,
I highlighted some sections for you. Tell me what you think. You know, that's the other thing. Like, I can't believe how many people like. I mean, this is the other thing is like, because I keep seeing and like on NPR, a bunch of white liberals pushing the whole theory that Hamas is entirely run and funded by Israel as a false flag.
Wait, are they
and this
really?
is enormously common. Like,
that's been a thing. Dave Smith's been on about that a little bit too. But they
lots of people are saying that.
They do say that Netanyahu, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that Netanyahu knew they were there and funded them, and like has some quotes back in the day of saying, yeah, if we let them like have like a little bit of fire and, you know, like it's some sort of like controlled opposition type stuff. There's a bunch of them who talk about that. And so then they say it must have been something that he let through on October 7th because.
Well, they basically say like, oh, because that's things like, I think an awful lot of this that is even close to legitimate, it's appeasement. It's not, you know, it's not support. It's one of those like, okay, if we let you have this, will you leave us alone? You know, but
no. Take a look at this. This is Michael Rappaport posting this, but it's a black dude just trying to walk on UCLA campus.
You said you had a problem, right? Bro, I'm an African American. You are a white man telling me to leave a part of the campus. Do you want me to go to Jasmine Rush and show her a photo of you, the dean of students, and let her know that you was harassing me?
Am I harassing?
Yeah, you are. You're asking me to leave a public place. You're asking, you as a white man are asking an African American student to leave a public area at UCLA campus. That's called racial discrimination, and that's a violation of the Civil Rights Act. So do you want to get out of my face now?
I mean, I think your presence is better on purpose.
What's that?
You're being an agitator.
I'm being an agitator. So you think the First Amendment is agitation?
Stop agitating yourself. Stop agitating yourself.
Okay, because I'm
this is some role reversal. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm recording over here. This guy's recording me. You're not talking to him. Look.
Well, that clip we saw at the University of Utah was also a black dude going after him.
Oh, that was
the
funny.
Palestinians. Yeah.
Me. You're not talking to him. You got people over here. You know what I'm saying? I don't see you talking to them. You're just.
We haven't had any
Right.
complaints
So
about them
you're
being agitated.
right. Well, you're just bothering me, bro.
We haven't had any complaints about them being agitated.
I don't know
we
what
get a complaint.
So what's an agitator's
I don't have
claim?
to tell you that.
Right. Exactly. You can't even explain yourself.
I
Bro.
don't have to tell you that.
You're two white men. You're two white men blocking an African American student from walking around on the campus.
You're allowed to go wherever you want.
I'm allowed to go where I want. You seem to be blocking my daughter's stroller from going forward. You just spilled my drink. And you're blocking my child's stroller from moving forward. That's a little weird, bro. You're acting a little weird, bro.
I mean, I think right now you're acting a little bit.
Nah,
weird.
you're gonna have to get out my face.
No, you're making this.
Yeah, you sure are following me though.
I mean, right now
You're following me. You're sticking your hand in my face. You're putting your arms up over me. You're doing a lot of weird stuff, bro.
sorry, man.
Why are you sorry? I don't know why you're sorry.
He runs.
Guys, I think I just did a racism.
It's just more of that, and it just keeps
That's
going and going.
insane. Imagine that. You're just like walking with your wife and kid on campus, and this COVID mask wearing soy retard, just like he's a meme, just stops you.
Yeah.
And he's like,
'cause I,
sir, you can't be here. And you're like, you're acting weird right now. Like, actually, you're the one that's acting weird. I'm
Well, like,
walking. I'm
you
not
know, like,
acting weird.
you see in the kid's face, like, because you can tell, like, you can see the cognitive dissonance. You know, you can see
he
the
was
dust
frozen,
coming out of
yeah.
his ears. Yeah, you can see the dust coming out of his ears as those gears grind against each other. But realistically, the chances of him going home and having a little reflection and just going, you know what, I'm not going to participate in that anymore, is almost nil. Chances
know
are he'll
he's-
go tell somebody, and they're going to reinforce him. He's like, "Oh, that guy was horrible to you. He wants to kill kill Palestinians.
I'll tell him
You
like
did
that.
the right thing,
That
dweeby
poor
little
black
man."
man. That poor black man has internalized racism, and it just reinforces my view that
Yeah.
America is a white supremacist hellhole.
Yeah. The whites convinced him that Hamas is bad.
I'm telling you what, though, man. Like social media, like TikTok, YouTube, everything is all over the place. Like I'm telling you, like if you just like go through TikTok, I'm getting exact 50-50. Palestinians are the bestest in the world, or 50-50. Oh, they're the worst. Like actually, I was telling you guys about this. Check this out. Here's two different women just completely shocked that they had friends in their circle. Like so, here's
All
one
the
side.
Zionists came out of the woodworks. People I've known, people I've been friends with since high school. Suddenly, in numbers were showing up and just exposing their Zionism.
So you have that.
Is that a bad word? You have to
Now look at this. This is like the very next TikTok scroll.
Prior to October 7th, I really thought anti-Semitism was a thing of the past.
So
I mean,
I'm
I
just
knew it
like
existed.
seeing like epiphany women endlessly all the way through TikTok. I had an epiphany that you were Zionist. I had an epiphany that you were anti-Semites. I had an epiphany you were Zionist. I had an epiphany you were
It's
anti-Semite.
right.
These are also people
Yeah.
who probably haven't paid attention to the issue at all up until now.
Yeah, no, this is
True.
unironic hatchling.
I
Like,
know.
this is
These
the
are real
unironic
hatchlings.
Yeah. These are people who like. I mean, again, like I guess because they've only ever gone to college, but the
Mhm.
things people think they know about this, it's terrifying to me. Like just the amount of unknowledge that people are spouting, that holding about this, and that's my whole thing. I just keep saying, like, just read the charter, just start there, just read it for me, just so that you and I can be on a little bit of the same page here. But like, no, they really think that Hamas is just like an anti-colonial resistance group. And they have no idea about all the other stuff, Like, have you ever seen that Tomorrow's Pioneers? The Palestinian kids show? Like, with
the Mickey Mouse.
Oh yeah.
like where they just talk openly about, like, there's like a whole thing where it's like the little girl talking with the daddy or grandpa. It's like, well, can we kill the Jews? Well, we'd rather not, but if we have to, we will. And this is for children.
What's the
This is literally
alternative?
for children.
So you have in your charter that you won't rest until all Jews are exterminated, right? And then
Yeah.
like the kid asks you, well, do we have to? Like, well, we'd rather not. Like, wait, what's the alternative? You just convince them to die on their own?
Yeah, no, they leave.
We will be very cordial and we will allow them to not breed and just die off.
The whole idea of shit like October 7 is to try to convince. It's the cross burning. It's the get out of our neighborhood. That's what that is. That's the whole point of terrorism, is to scare you into leaving.
Every other channel though is like every other TikTok flip is people cheering on the Palestinians to people cheering on the Palestinians, to cheering on I call them Palestinians, to cheer on the completely astroturfed bullshit non-students who are getting paid to encamp in these places. That's what's so weird about it. So they've already like found a bunch of things. I sent you guys like one of the clips that showed that like they've tracked a bunch of recent immigrants and found that like over 1,000 of them are attending these different encampments. But on top of that too, there's the way this popped up. Like, why did the first one pop up? Like, it popped up in Columbia first, right? The University of Columbia. Like, what was the recent event that made it happen? There's nothing. There's like no recent thing.
Yeah,
It was kind of like 1, 2, 3 encampment, and then 1, 2, 3 encampments everywhere. and then they all have like the same tents and all that sort of stuff. It's
Yeah.
obviously astroturfed.
James Lindsay did a thing today about that. He called the planned spontaneity. Was the name of it. And he talks about that, because that's exactly what they do. It's like, oh, they pretend like they want everybody. It's the same thing with Black Lives Matter, and Antifa, where like they talk about it. We know that they were flying in. We know that they were bussing in. We know it was the same people in multiple areas. But the whole idea is to give this illusion that, like, oh no, this is grassroots, spontaneous. Like, oh, everybody just sees what's happening and is wigging out. Like, no, it's entirely planned.
Yeah, here's
Here's
that one today.
That
It
kid
was
couldn't
this clip.
articulate the beginning of his position. Do you think that guy organized an entire protest? Of course not.
The Lie of Planned Spontaneity. I listened to it as well. That's
Yeah.
it right there on New Discourses. It was a good one. But I mean, you're just watching it. It's so weird just to see all those things pop up out of the blue, just kind of 1, 2, 3, go. The pallets of brick from BLM. That's true, Mr. Croissant Boucher. Tribalism, tribalism is the word you are looking for. Who uses a word like tribalism? Are you one of them? I'm just kidding.
Are you one of them?
Let's see.
We don't take kindly to people who talk about tribalism.
You one of those tribal talkers. Anyway, I got a bunch of different clips of nutty people being on one side or the other of that, and they're probably all just bullshit because you can just imagine all of them, or you've probably watched all of them. Do you want to see a LARPer running with his shield get plowed by a police officer?
Yes, I do.
Well, here it comes. Go, 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 go.
Okay, so just to be clear, because we know from January 6th that one of the worst things, according to the modern left, one of the worst, most unforgivable things anybody can do is to assault a police officer.
Oh my goodness!
So how is
a guy
that
just got 2 years and $200,000 today for supposedly assaulting a police officer on January 6th? And
was it anything even like this?
Did half as much as that right there. They don't even have like any good footage of him doing it.
No, I don't know. Like, part of me is like, I don't my wish is that you could sit these kids down and be like, "Okay, let me tell you why you're wrong." But then the other part is like, no, expel them. Expel every fucking one of these idiots. They don't deserve an education.
They're not.
You don't get your money back.
Man, they actually did study. Andy No's been ripping it apart and looking at it because he knows the faces, he knows the stuff. There are hardly any students in there.
Oh yeah.
Even the universities have announced it and admitted it. They're not students. There's very few students. There's a few of them,
Yeah.
And they're probably usually not like the top agitators. So
they're probably also not the top of the GPA curve.
Yeah. Although did you see that one guy who got expelled? I think from Columbia. Did you watch that dude mouth off? Oh my goodness, that guy was out of control, and he actually did get expelled for saying stuff like "we should kill the Jews." I could only hold on. I mean, if you talk amongst yourselves, I could pull it up. I know Shapiro covered it.
I think my favorite one I've seen so far is there was like a bunch of people and they were like locking arms, and the cops like slowly started walking up to him and they just start shouting in like Lord of the Rings fashion, like, "Hold the line! Hold the line!" And then the second the cops got there, like, "Oh no!"
I found a kid. I just don't know where it is on let me see. Shapiro showed him. Okay, here he is. So this kid actually got expelled.
Go right now. So here is Kaimani James. This is a he live streamed a disciplinary hearing. So there's a disciplinary hearing going on his laptop here, and he's live streaming it to all of his friends over here. Here he is.
My name is Sasha Wakadaway. I'm one of the associate directors in the Center for Student Success and Intervention.
I'm Kamani James. I use he, she, they pronouns.
All of them. So why even say it?
Not wanting to meet up and fight. I don't fight to injure or for there to be a winner or a loser. I fight to kill. See y'all in New York, January 2024. Mm-hmm.
So that's specifically what we're going to be discussing today. Do you see why that's problematic in any way?
No.
Do you think that there's a serious weight in taking someone else's life?
I think there is a serious weight in taking someone's life. And at the same time, I think that taking someone's life in certain case scenarios is necessary and better for the overall world. And so I personally have never killed anyone. Thank the Lord that no one has put me in that position.
Like, you can just, I want to just take this AI, like take this exact speech and just put it in Hitler's mouth. Like, well, I've never killed anybody. Like, but like literally, like this is the Nazi argument you're making. Like, well, it's we don't like it, but it has to be done.
We wish the Jews didn't make us Holocausts.
The thing is, he even had a hearing, and they had to sit and like very cautiously do anything about it. They wouldn't give a hearing if like some random whitey said something like that.
Everyone looks back at that time period and said that Hitler needed to die because he was exacting an immense amount of harm against the world. And so just like that, during the Haitian Revolution, their Haitian slaves had to kill their masters in order to gain their independence. These were masters who were white supremacists. What is a Zionist? A white supremacist. And so let's be
pause
very
it right
clear
there.
here.
Those are two totally analogous things. Hitler and Haitian slaves, exact same situation.
Yeah. I'll fast forward to where he says more.
I want to know like what the point even is in like if your pronouns are literally all of them, why even list them? You know, he's like, you can call me fucking whatever you want, but I'm still gonna virtue signal.
Yeah.
Like the white people.
I'll still find a way to get mad at you too.
Who were killed during the Haitian Revolution.
Be very clear here. I'm not saying that I'm gonna go out and start killing Zionists.
I'm just saying I
What
would
I'm
be
saying
happy if that were to happen.
Is that if an individual who identifies as a Zionist threatens my physical safety in person, i.e. puts their hands on me, I am going to defend myself. And in that case scenario, it may come to a point where I don't know when to stop.
Okay.
Hey, so
does that make sense?
Does that apply to Israelis? Like if Israelis are sitting in their home,
Zionists anywhere. Zionists are Nazis.
For my identity as a Black queer woman in New York City, obviously, if I'm on the train and I'm sexually assaulted or harassed in some way, like I may turn around and slap somebody, right? Doing and saying that versus saying that, you know, you fight to kill. And you made a comment earlier where you stated
Wow, they're
that
both
you
retarded.
may not know your own strength behind why, or you may not have the resistance to stop, right? That is kind of like what I'm taking from what you were sharing, that it could get to that point.
Dude, I don't even think this guy could take down one Tanner.
What's that?
I don't think this guy could even take down a single Tanner.
I don't think this guy could take down Christmas lights.
Would you choose to be in the forest with him or a bear, though? I'd take the bear, but it has nothing to do with
yeah, for
that.
sure. But that's because I'd be raped.
So now.
Anyway, that's just one of all the different idiots. If we had got to sit down and listen to them.
Because I mean, you just look at what people have had their entire college careers ended over for so much less than that. And like, but you say that guy actually got expelled?
Yeah, he did.
Wow, which cool. Who did that?
That's Columbia.
Well, I love the
wow.
The back and forth between them was hilarious because that lady revealed herself to be equally retarded. Because he's like, he tried to kind of turn it into self-defense, but then he's like, I might not know my own strength or whatever. And she's like, well, obviously, like if I'm as a queer Black woman of color, which if you're going to be woman of color, why Black? I don't know. Anyway, if I get assaulted, if I get raped on the subway, sexually assaulted, I'll turn around and slap somebody. And what do you think that's going to do, lady? She's like, but I'm not going to escalate it past that. No, you're fully justified in shooting the dude if he tries to rape you on the subway.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're probably not. You'll probably get prosecuted.
So did you see the girl that demanded food for humanitarian aid?
It was so funny.
Please tell me she's fat.
think we have a double fail. Okay, so some students.
Oh, they got Colin or that Robinson guy on their show now.
Yeah.
Cut his hair.
He's been on there quite a bit.
At the
And,
end,
like,
student.
He's awesome. I have
love,
so much respect for that guy.
Calvin. Risto's,
yeah, Calvin Robinson. That's the name.
Risto's Catholic buddy actually got him on his show at one point. It was cool.
Nuh-uh. The guy that wants to talk, that you talk to?
Yeah.
Wow. So we're tangentially connected to Calvin Robinson.
Oh yeah.
Humanitarian aid.
From,
Literally.
From who? For what?
I don't. Let's play this video.
Why should the university be obligated to provide food to people who've taken over a building?
First of all, we're saying that they're obligated to provide food to students who pay for a meal plan here.
But you mentioned that there was a request that food and water be brought in, unless I misunderstood.
To allow it to be brought in. I mean, well, I guess it's ultimately a question of what kind of community and obligation Columbia feels it has to its students. Do you want students to die of dehydration and starvation or get severely ill, even if they disagree with you? If the answer is no, then you should allow basic, I mean, it's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus, but this is like basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water?
But they distinguish themselves in that.
I want to like
You have
walk up to her with like a bologna sandwich and like reach it out to her and just keep pulling it away, going, "Keep starving! Stop starving yourself! Stop starving yourself! Stop starving yourself! Stop starving yourself!"
Did you guys
Do you
see
have
that?
any gluten-free humanitarian options?
Did you guys see that crackhead lady, the one who attacked? She's the lady who attacked what's his name? Who attacked Alec Baldwin? Like what that person's like?
No.
You didn't? Oh my goodness. Okay. Hold on here. And it might be the dumbest thing in the world you've ever seen, but the only thing that's dumber is that Hassan comes on right after her. You ready for this? This is the lady who held her cell phone up to Alec Baldwin to try to get him to say "Free Palestine," and Alec Baldwin ended up hitting the phone away.
Wait, what?
Censored.
Hey, Pierce! I've been waiting for you, Pierce fucking Morgan!
Okay.
I wore my diaper today for you, Pierce. Do you like it?
Not particularly. No. Do you want to sit down?
And Pierce, can you bring me to Buckingham Palace? I would like to meet the Queen.
Well, I tell you
I'd
what.
really like to meet the Queen.
I don't.
Is this Sam Hyde?
If you mean Queen,
yeah,
she is probably tied up with royal engagements at the moment.
I think she's
If you meant
pretending to be a
Queen
left
Di-
wing one.
Get me in, Pierce.
Yeah.
Get me fucking in, Pierce. I want it.
Okay. Can I take you back, if I may, to what you did to Alec Baldwin? Can you explain why you did it?
What did I do to Alec Baldwin? Pierce, do you see the damage that Alec did to me? Do you see the damage? Look at my arms. Look at my arms, Pierce. Look at my neck. I was maimed by a white man on Monday.
Yeah, that's her.
What? I don't. Is that a stunt? What is that?
Yeah, I think she thinks she's being a
Like, 'cause
comic, political
it's
stunt
not
artist, whatever.
working. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I like because maybe there's some context that would make it make sense, but I don't.
No, I
get
think
that.
she thinks she's being funny. I think she thinks she's being a troll. Yeah.
But how did she get on Piers Morgan? I mean,
Because he was
he's not-
asking her. Well, Pierce wanted to get into the thing because later he interviewed Hassan, and Pierce was trying to make the point that he thinks Hassan's not much different than her. And Hassan got pissed off, just saying that you're just searching for internet clout and trying to get attention, and you're a ridiculous person. And
the only funny thing about that was that she calls him piss. Like that's the only funny thing.
Yeah. But I mean, I think she was trying to do some sort of a Sam Hyde trollish display of whatever. I don't know what.
You should have consulted with him first, or Alex Stein or someone, because
Yeah.
it would have been funny.
So check out this little meme that they shared right at the beginning of that Lotus Eaters one.
Working with us, we have some job opportunity.
Right here.
definitely believe. Right.
This is this kid.
Right. So we are going to talk about some failed compilations about the recent.
The dog in the room full of fire saying everything's fine.
And we have here a meme is born. Now, I don't know if that's a win or a fail.
It's just the kid sitting there reading with the.
And we have.
The dog in the room full of fire saying everything's fine.
And we have meme is born. Now, I don't.
There's a bunch
That's
of
that
different
guy's
like
reading
movies like that.
spot. That's what that is. That's
Yeah.
I knew, like in college, there was always kids that had their spot. They'd go out and they'd sit there and they'd read. And that guy, I get it. He was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not
Yeah.
letting these douchebags take my reading spot. I'm gonna go fucking read.
Yeah, that's what it's like into college. That's
He's like,
all the
he's like
encampment
college.
crap.
He's college quad Rosa Parks. I'm just gonna do it. You can stop me.
I was on Rosa Parks. I was watching the movie The Holdovers. Have you seen what that is?
No.
The Holdovers is, I guess Paul Giamatti he might have just won the Oscar for it, but it's just about some kids who have to stay over for Christmas. It's like back in the 60s during the Vietnam War era type stuff. But it hasn't popped up yet. But there's an LDS kid in it. And I didn't expect that. But they have to like sit and wait over in Christmas time.
Mormonism is everywhere.
Yeah, I can't believe how much it like pops up and comes up. I'll show you the clip of it as soon as it loads. Okay, here it is. Present share screen, but it seemed kind of similar too because it was like all college campusy stuff, although it's tangentially rated. Here it is. Look at this.
We're LDS. Chloe, you're the one who blew up in Paraguay. We're LDS.
What the heck?
Come on. You're the one who blew up history. Hey. What's your story, man? Alex Sollerman. Here because my parents were on mission in Paraguay. We're LDS. Mormons, right? Don't you guys wear some kind of like magic underwear? That's a common misconception. Actually, it's called a temple garment, and we're only supposed to wear it when. Hey, what's up with the townies?
Fucking whatever.
They cut him off before he could even say it.
That's the exact response you should have. Like, don't you guys wear magic underwear? And then they go into some long, boring explanation, and you're just like, "Fuck, why'd I ask?"
It's kind of funny how like some random person knows like that's the diatribe that they go into. That's written by what's the guy who wrote? Did you ever see dang it, what's his name? Gosh, he's written a bunch of Alexander Payne. Alexander Payne wrote a bunch of different movies, like that substitute teacher one with the oh my gosh, I'm forgetting everything. I'm not thinking off the top of my head very well. I think he wrote some of the Ghostbuster stuff. Nebraska, Downsizing, Sideways, Election. Have you ever seen the movie Election? That's what I was trying to think of. It's with it's a real good movie. It's about sociopathic people. Watch this movie Election. Everybody go watch it. It's about this girl who's like the quintessential sociopath who's just trying to get elected as a school president at her school. And oh my gosh, she's a sociopath. You should watch that movie. It's really good. Election. Yeah.
I did finally watch I finished the Fallout.
Oh yeah.
How you like that?
So compared to my expectations, it was fantastic. It was excellent. Overall, good.
Yeah.
I think it was good. I think overall they did a good job.
Yeah, it was all right.
They got the tone, because as a fan of the games, they got the tone very good. They did a great job with that. And then, a lot of the choices they made that, first, Critical Drinker was kind of more like, boy, there sure is a lot of plant life for a post-apocalyptic nightmare world. But I appreciate what they did with their budget because the production overall looked really excellent. And, the little member berry fan service nuggets I thought were done, well. They did exactly one side quest joke, and it was perfect. And that's all they needed to do with that. They hit the nail on the head, and they didn't, belabor the point. Yeah, overall, I had and I'm interested in the second season. We'll see how long until it falls off the rails and it all becomes terrible. But yeah, I thought they did a good job, you know? Because like one of the things about the show, like, because like nowadays it would be scary to make that game because it was highly satirical of capitalism, but it was also satirical. And like you can just imagine wokies getting their hands on a series that was satirically anti-capitalist, because you know they don't get the joke. They don't get that, like, no, we're playing with a caricature of capitalism here, not the real thing, you know.
Did you play
But-
Fallout 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah,
people
no,
don't
like,
like it as much.
well, I mean, I don't know.
I liked it
Like,
all right.
the game, they're amazing crap. Bethesda games are all incredible garbage.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's a perfect way
you
to
know,
say
because
it.
like part of it's like it's stupid, it's buggy, like it's silly, and yet like the stupid world. I love the world so much. I love the
I know, me
exploring.
too.
You know, I like the whole post-apocalyptic nightmare thing. I thought like
I want
it
to
was
drink
brilliant.
Coca-Cola.
Like early on, they made this decision about like the technology of the world, and it was really interesting how like on the one hand, it's like fusion powered super future, but like if you pay attention to the game, it's a vacuum tube electronic world, you know. And so it's just perfect because it, you know, it everything stays set in that big clunky 1950s ENIAC kind of look, but at the same time, you know, you've got limitless power and all the, you know, goofy technology you need to tell all the stories you want. Yeah, and so like it's pretty amazing that they did not completely fuck it up. I thought overall, like I say, like
That's
compared to
kinda-
my,
I remember Morgan was like asking me, what was it? She was asking me like, do you think that Fallout series will be good when they like first announced it? I was like, well, no, I don't think it'll be good
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they're never any good, and which is sad because it's just it's a layup, man. Like of a
Yeah.
series to me? Are you kidding me? Obviously, do a vault dweller, and you can do it from any number of vaults because there's so many vaults that they haven't explored. And I actually liked the idea of having like the 3 interconnecting vaults, you know. And that was my favorite part about Fallout was exploring all the different vaults and seeing what insane experiments they were doing.
yeah, no, that was part was fun, like because you know that's the kind of thing. It's like okay, like in as writers, like what if we were totally evil and we, you know, we were Vault Tech, and it's fun, you know, you get to come up with all the crazy ideas. But yeah, it's like because then again with this Fallout, it was always satirical, it was always tongue in cheek, and you just worry because like the communists think that that shit is real, like they really think that that's how capitalism works.
So Marty's asking if we're going to cover the Tim Ballard stuff. The only Tim Ballard
there
stuff
news?
that I tried to watch Nuance Ho's thing
Yeah, I
on it, and
started
she's
it.
so long-winded and it's slow at getting to the point and talking more about her stupid
501c3
501c3 and her upcoming spend money on her upcoming
Greek
trip and
trip,
stuff
yeah.
to get. I mean, like, what was it? I guess there's this lady claiming that he actually like did rape her, and that
Yeah, so it was.
she claims he's excommunicated and addicted to stuff. I think that's about it.
So I mean, if the claims are true, then that looks pretty bad on Ballard. Like it kind of looks like sort of the real version of that great South Park episode where the cop goes undercover as a steam prostitute, but then he actually like starts fucking the dudes, and then afterward arrests them because like clearly these if what they said is true, clearly these women had no idea that they were supposed to actually fuck Tim Ballard, but then he tried to fuck him anyway. I don't know if it's true. I haven't looked
Yeah,
into
like
it
the
at
last
all.
thing I heard is I thought that the case had fallen apart. That it was.
I don't
all
know.
very
But
obviously.
anyway,
They just had not made a file or an extra filing, and it was past their date multiple times. Like they were given a bunch of extensions.
Well, the really annoying part of it was that she kept like this would be an interesting thing to listen to if somebody would just give me the fucking information. But like Chris says, she dawdles and gets sidetracked and talks about her shit. But then she has to stop every like 5 minutes to let you know that this means that Mormonism is definitely false and evil because M. Russell Ballard doesn't
And
have
to
the
remind
power
you how much
to
time she spent researching this, and she has all the goods and stuff. And I mean, even like kind of professional milker, actual grifters that I've heard like milk videos and watch it. Like she's like getting that down. Like this is how I can just milk the living dickens out of a video, and not
She's
like give
like
out any
watching.
info.
I know she's like watching the quartering on half
Really
speed.
am. Yeah.
And somehow less laughs too.
Yeah. But I think all that court filing stuff is still just another lady's claim against him. So, but they actually just made a court filing of it. So this lady claims all this stuff. That's what we got. That's the update. Yippee-ki-yay. I mean, I guess we'll find out or see how it goes or something like that. Should we get to a Beargate? Bear. Does everybody know what the bear meme is? I guess I have a. I mean, I guess we have a bunch of different bears, but Bear Splainer. Do you want to explain what the bear?
Okay, so idiot feminists decided to ask the question: if you were lost in the woods, would you rather run into a strange man, like a stranger man, or a bear? And all online feminists are saying the bear, because they are stupid and they've never seen a grizzly sprint up a tree at like 60 miles an hour or whatever. But also, like they think that is just representative of all women too. That's a crazy part, is these people don't understand sort of the selection bias that's going on here. Because every woman in real life I've asked that question to, they're like, well, the man, definitely. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it would be a little bit intimidating. I don't know. Have you ever been on a hike?
Setup. Like if you ask
been
somebody, they think it's some kind of setup for a joke or something. Like
I know. Have
you
you ever
don't
been on a
imagine
hike?
that anybody was serious.
You ever been on a hike and ran into a dude?
Yeah.
It's just
A million times, I guess. But I guess I'm not like a rapeable woman.
I know.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, howdy there.
Oh, speaking of which,
Nice weather.
somebody did buy me a rape whistle for my dog walks, so I'm covered now. Here's an actual rape whistle right here.
Chris, I think you're plenty rapeable. Don't be mean. Don't get so hard on yourself.
Well, only bears rape me. Yeah, I guess I got like some examples of it. Here's some guys,
So,
and
like I always ask this. You reverse the question on them and say, okay, now it's your daughter in the woods, because if it's my daughter in the woods, you think I'm going to choose a bear?
Yeah.
Are you retarded? And all their explanations are like, well, it's because they would believe me that the bear hurt me. Well, you would be ripped in two. So yeah, we would
not only ripped in
this
two.
is one of those weird, bizarro world feminist things that they act as though no men are ever punished for harming women. That there's just not a thing that happens. Like rape is not even a crime. Who's in prison for rape right now?
I know.
Except for tens of thousands of men who have been convicted of rape.
I just totally realized we totally could have had like a grizzly man quote on hand from what's his name, from Werner Herzog.
Werner.
So when the bear, it eats you, it just lays on top of you, it doesn't need to kill you because it's that sort of thing. It just starts eating. It just starts eating your guts while you are still alive. There's no rush to kill you.
Just like the void of humanity that's eating you from inside out, slowly, day by day, killing
I'm sure there's a
every
quote
section
somewhere
of
that
your
has that.
humanity.
Oh man! So I mean, I guess I'll show some
The
examples.
bear peels your skin off your face like the casing of a summer sausage. This is all it is to him.
So part of the meme was women asking their husbands what they thought and then being kind of mortified that they gave the wrong answer. So like here's
Meg and I in the woods with two bears or two men.
Two men? I mean, you're gonna die.
Yeah, so you either die or you live. Let's go with live. What kind of guys are they?
We don't know anything about them.
Do they know how to work in the woods?
Either way,
I'm taking the guys.
It's not even
We didn't even need to confirm.
Okay, next question. Mitch, would you rather leave Romy in the woods with a bear or a guy?
It's always
going to
a
be
guy.
a guy over a bear.
I mean, 90% of all guys are probably decent people. And so the chances are way higher than a bear.
True. But the bear could take her in like this.
Well,
when have you heard of that?
They were monkeys, not bears.
Wait, take her and raise her? Is that what you said?
Okay, everyone on TikTok is saying a bear.
You're all stupid.
And
I'm actually surprised you guys said bears.
Bear,
like I'm so surprised.
You have like probably like.
You would leave us or you would leave your 3-year-old with a guy.
Let me run through the ratios. Watch. The chance of the bear killing or hurting the kid, it's got to be like 90% chance.
Okay.
The chance of that child surviving then would be like 10%. Okay.
Okay.
The chance of that child surviving with a guy, it's got to be like 98%, 99%.
Just a random guy in the woods you think is a good
Because I
guy.
think 99%
You find a guy in the
yes.
woods and it's a good guy.
I think 99% of guys are
Thank you
They're
so
not
much.
just like, hey, I'm with this child and I'm going to kill the child.
But if they're in the woods,
I just think survival rate is much higher.
What do they think men are?
So many of the
They're just like-
TikTok quotes are just the women being surprised that their men said the wrong thing.
That's the most insane thing ever. Like, what do you think men are? Like, oh, thank God nobody's around. I can murder a child now. Like,
Yeah.
who has that thought? The funniest thing ever is you don't even have to, if it's my 3-year-old daughter, like, you don't even have to put the bear in the equation. You could say, would you rather her be alone in the woods lost or with a man? With a man. Take the bear out. Are you kidding me? If most people, if they see a little girl in the woods, they're going to be like, oh my God, I need to protect you and find where you belong. Jesus Christ.
Like, I bet you even most bad guys would still just have that inkling to do that first. Besides, it takes, I bet you 1 out of 10 actual rapists, if they came across just a random kid in the woods, they'd be like, well, I wasn't like out raping today. Let me help this kid out.
I'm not in a rapey mood right now.
I wasn't planning on coming across a rape here in the desert, in the forest.
I didn't bring my rape kit.
I didn't bring my rape kit.
This is the whole scene in Hand Banana episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Spaghetti, rape him. I'm not really into it. You, on the other hand.
Some other clip of some guy getting railroaded into it all right, here's another guy getting.
Would you rather our daughter?
In these cases, these are random guys we've come across. We just randomly came across those 2 guys on TikTok. We just randomly came across this guy. Let's pretend these are the guys. Like, these are the random people you come across.
I know.
Like, would I rather, this is a random guy I just came across. Would I rather it be this random guy than a bear?
Eat in the woods with a bear or a man?
I would say a man.
Why?
Because I could be that man.
No, not you, a stranger.
Okay, someone I don't know.
Yeah.
Versus a brown bear.
So
what does it do, a brown bear?
I'm just assuming that's what other black bear, brown bear.
Just a bear, Kenny.
I think I would still say man.
Really? You want our 13-year-old daughter to be?
How do you do this in a hypothetical? It's not about what you want. Clearly these are both unideal situations. You're choosing which one is least unideal.
Yeah, but on top of that too, like, so many of the guys are just completely confused about, like,
Well, yeah, they're waiting to be punked or something. They're like,
yeah,
"Wait, what's the punch?"
like, what are you asking me? And the women are upset that they said guy because I don't know what. Well, I guess I have a description.
I thought I could trust you, but you think that bears are worse than men.
What? That's so goofy. Here's some lady explaining, female explaining. What's it? Femsplaining? Femsplaining. That's why we're wrong.
The previous one. I mean, this is another one where let's read the right honorable introduction,
Oh,
shall we?
another Swifty.
Swifty, Stan Club, pro-choice, BLM, LGBTQ ally. All right, that's enough.
2IA.
No,
Something wrong.
She's not an ally with the 2IA.
They're
Whatever
racist.
that means.
I survived.
But let's have a listen to this. I suppose this is her reasoning, which is that bears won't rape me. Is our argument.
If the bear attack, I won't have to see the bear at family reunions.
Huh?
The worst thing the bear can do is kill me. The bear sees me as a human being. After what those men did to that monitor lizard, the bears
what?
are not safe with men either.
Hey, bear sees you as a human being, which is to say that he sees you as a salmon or anything else delicious and flesh covered.
I mean, luckily we're not bears' primary. We're not really their prey, but they'll eat us if they're hungry.
Yeah.
Or if we get within spitting distance of their cubs, you know.
I just wonder, like, because like I mean, there's so many things. Like at Yellowstone, are they going to replace all of the "Don't approach the bear" signs with "Stay away from men"? Like, beware of men, Yellowstone Park.
I guess so. Yeah. Let's see what this chick says.
The question that has bubbled up because things like AS
Oh my gosh.
plus man scenario.
When did she start?
A lot of other LGBTQ plus allies.
Wait,
her and a lot of other.
Does she
But
talk?
I mean, a man could have a
I
gun.
guess they're just talking over her.
You can come across a bear. Sorry, it's not funny, and I shouldn't joke. You can come across either a dangerous wild animal.
Why is
or
it dangerous?
someone
Because
who
it's
is the same
wild.
species as you, but the opposite gender. Now imagine that gender has treated your gender so badly through the years, done the most disgusting, horrible, heinous things.
Our gender
to
treated your gender so badly
through the years.
Now do race.
And so you actually have to really genuinely consider your decision. And not only that, but most of the people who are being asked this question, who are your gender, are actually genuinely leaning towards the dangerous wild animal. Now imagine that when your gender answers this question en masse, and they're all giving the same answer and the same reason for why they would choose the dangerous wild animal, the gender that has harmed you over centuries, harmed your gender over centuries, is laughing about it, bitching about it, moaning about it, joking about it.
I am genuinely moaning about it because she's annoying.
I don't know what to do with that.
I'm like, that's, oh my god.
It's really amazing.
This is absurd.
So Troy,
I love how the racists got a hold of this though, and they took the meme to where, like, would you rather be in the forest alone with a bear or a man? And then the bottom frame is Lady Chad saying, "What's the race of the man?" It's the same fucking thing. You guys are playing these identity games where you're discriminating against me based on my identity. It's the racists can do it too. Like you're at the same level.
Yeah.
Troy's mentioning the Colbert threat report. Beware of bears. Bears. I remember Colbert when he was funny talking about.
They literally think like Nazis, though, like where it's like your kind has hurt my kind. Like, have you hurt me? Doesn't even enter into it. Like, there are no individuals. There are only the tribes.
So, did you know that in Baldur's Gate, there's a scene where you have sex as a bear with a druid? Troy made sure I had this before this episode.
Man, I can't wait for that game to go on sale. It's been
Here's
too
some
good.
Baldur's
Though.
Gate.
We haven't dropped the price on it because it's so damn good.
So maybe you'll reconsider your answer after you see this.
Final panel from hell. Oh, I saw a little bit about this stuff. The Baldur's Gate. There's apparently a part where like a dude had fun with a bear. Like there's like this there's like a thing where a dude just I'll read it. Like it says Baldur's Gate 3 developer Larian has teased some unusual romance options in the upcoming fantasy role-playing game, including one that lets you have fun with the druid in bear form.
I like the squirrel that drops his nuts.
Even the squirrel's like, what the fuck, man?
That's so stupid.
That squirrel must vote Republican.
Anyway, this might be like the best meme stuff that's ever come around in a while. Because
not since Brooklyn Jew tunnels have we had this much meme gold.
Great. No, I dedicated an entire Facebook album to it. It's been a while since I've done that for any memes.
I'll pull them up. Let's pull up. Time to get meme-tastic. Let's see here. How far back do I gotta go?
If you go to my Facebook page, you can just go to the album if you want.
Okay, I was gonna do that because there's some other ones just in threads too. There's memes everywhere.
I posted all the ones.
I'm pouring memes out. Every single one's on your Facebook page.
All the ones that we posted.
I thought I saw some other ones that weren't on there.
It might. I mean, they're making them by the minute. So there's probably a bunch that aren't on there yet.
Here comes meme dump. Bear or trans women? Bitch, shut the fuck up before I falcon punch you in the jugular, you pathetic ass pick me. I choose the bear. A bear saying I wouldn't.
Yeah, has anybody done the Carl Benjamin? I wouldn't even eat you.
I know.
Yeah. I think you could make that. You'd be the first. The famous meme from Mad Men of I don't even think about y'all is that women who say they'd rather encounter a bear than a man. I feel bad for you. Me, I don't think about you at all. You choose a man over a bear. Okay, pick me. Me trying to pull a baddie in the forest. Guy just as a bear. Good night, good night. And the guy, and then the girls with the bear in her room getting. What's up, baby? What you doing tonight? I'm gonna be in the woods alone all night. Come through. It's a bear. Some lady with the bear on her phone. Oh, I love these memes. It's that close talking guy to an unimpressed chick. And he says, I completely understand why women chose the bear. Any men that don't are a part of the problem. Not me, though. I understand. I'm different. I'm an ally. I respect women. Your body, your choice. Equal pay. Sex work is real work. I'm glad you get the right to vote. Did I mention I'm a feminist? And actually, I did see a bunch of that exact guy on TikTok. Like there was a bunch of men on there simping for it. There's Troy sharing the Threat Down by Colbert. I'll pull that up in a second. She's probably thinking about other men. She's thinking about the bear. Why do women compare us in the woods? They don't want to focus on the real issues. Watch this. Why do you kill your young? Excuse me. 392,000 abortions in 2023. And we
that might be the best one.
That's harsh. Harsh.
Excuse me, it's healthcare, man. That's golden. Oh, that's good stuff.
Oh, that's back at the beginning. I swear there's a couple more in the other thing, but let me pull up the Threat Down here by a Colbert Threat Down back when. Oh, wait a minute. Will we get? Is that Comedy Central? We might get pulled down for sharing that.
Yeah, Comedy Central is pretty.
I might be. We remember Colbert when he's funny doing Bear Threat Down.
Honestly, I don't. I've never seen funny Colbert.
Colbert back in the day when he was just kind of the Colbert Show before it was now, back in the Jon Stewart days, was him faking being like a Bill Riley character. And so he was like all pro Republican stuff. But one of the things he'd do every night is go through the Threat Down. And number one threat was always bears. And every single night it was bears. Let me see if I can. I swear there was some more in here. Oh, look at this. The Salt Lake Tribune said it. University of Utah says most arrested at pro-Palestine rally are not students. The Tribune said it.
Yeah, if even the Tribune's saying it, that's bad.
Here's Donkey Kong with the bear on top of a woman. Me, a male stranger, not doing anything to help. I'm avoiding a grape situation. The Bachelor. It's the Bachelor with the bear in there.
Black Beard.
5 black bears, a black bear and a chick. And then alone in the woods, you run into a woman. Ah, stop, too scary. Ah, it's a guy in a bear. I'm glad I'm stuck with you instead of a man. Tee hee. And he's just devouring her. Ken and his friends out in the forest with the bear. Me and the boys in the forest getting ready to harass. And this is the one I replaced the thread on the main channel with just 2 bros going out into the woods to harass women. I'll go with the statistics. I choose the bear. I'll go with the statistics too. What race is the man?
How do they refute that though? Like, how do they come back and be like, You can't generalize people. Well,
Yeah. Oh, look at this. The Salt Lake Tribune was pumping genderqueer. Like, oh, opinion art isn't supposed to make you comfortable. But it's kind of funny because like this book, like I appreciate them doing this because this is one of the books I've been trying to tell people that they're trying to push into schools, and they just go ahead and make it very, very clear for us there. There's all sorts of wild stuff, and this is the Bluest Eye one too. Lolita, I read back in college. That's definitely underage loving stuff, but it's poetic. Tip of the tongue, tap of the teeth. Lolita, tip of the tongue, tap of the teeth. Let's see. I don't know. Do we have more memes there? Oh yeah, one more. Ken, you take the streets, I'll take the forest. The bear and Ken. Man in the woods, friendly smile, wave. GM, happy girls, head nod. Bear in the woods. I'm going to eat your face now. I like this one, like an actual story of a human interest. Tourist mauled after rolling down window to take selfie with the bear. I thought he wanted to be friends with victim's friend, said of the wild bear. Is that a real story?
I haven't looked it up.
That's crazy. Crazy. Anyway, that's what's up with bear stuff. Then the reason I called this Mamala Bear, because there's nothing more dangerous than a mama bear. But who all got to watch what happened with Drew Barrymore and Kamala Harris?
That was funny.
Troy says we could do 12 seconds. He says that's all we need for the clip. All right, we'll do it. If we get taken down, it's on Troy. Present. Share screen. We'll talk over it. So
Finally,
talk.
If you don't know by now that
talk.
bears are godless killing machines, chances are you've been living in a cave, in which case you've probably been eaten by a bear.
Yeah. I miss when I thought Colbert was funny. He was also on like Strangers with Candy and all that sort of stuff.
That was back in 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still on my mission.
Sigh. Anyway, let's show Mamala. What's this flip? You shared a silver plates meme of Flip's not there. I guess I'll wait
he's
to
away.
share that. Okie dokie. Mamala.
The Mamala thing was great.
So
since Drew Barrymore got her own show, she's just been producing solid cringe.
I can't believe she didn't think better of this. Present share screen. This guy is laughing before it shows right here. Drew Barrymore must be stopped. The guy can't stop laughing, but it's from this actual clip.
We all need a tremendous.
So here it is.
I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now. But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
He thought that was such a killer line.
I think Kamala was even. I think she was even cringing off of that one. She's like, "What did you just do?"
If Kamala Harris knows you're being cringe, then you fucked up.
I know you've gone over the top, just too far.
I mean, she already fucked up by saying, "We just need a giant hug in this country."
It's like that's like the first time I've ever seen Kamala Harris in an interview with another woman, and Kamala was not the stupid one.
I know.
Like, it's the first time Kamala Harris looks good.
Well, she also didn't say anything in that clip.
Look, I accidentally shared the title of that your wife titled our thread there, Quaku's King.
Yeah.
No. We're busted.
It's like you touched my hair, but verbally.
She does a fantastic Kamala.
Be my mommy. What? Mamala. Mamala. What? Mamala. Okay. We need to. There's nothing I like more as a black woman than, being held responsible for everyone's emotions.
That's a good laugh.
Kamala Harris. Okay. I truly cannot believe you are sitting right here. I know. In front of me. Real close. So far away. No, I think we're close. I'm 3 football fields away. That's not. You're not. You're so right. Far away. You are right there. I can smell the inside of you. What? You're so special. Can someone fucking stop this? Put your arms around me. No. Put your arms around me. Help. Isn't this great? I'm gonna get up now. Okay. See you later.
So what are the chances Saturday Night Live covers this? Like, what are the chances they cover this in 1990, and what's the chances they cover this now?
Yeah, exactly.
Mamala, Jesus Christ.
So it got so big that Drew Barrymore actually apologized for it.
So-
I don't think she apologized for
no,
that.
this
I think
is-
the apology
this is
was
the-
for. The
this is an older
apology is for.
movie.
Oh, that's for the strikes. I thought she was
Yeah.
apologizing for that.
No,
then.
no,
Oh,
she wasn't
okay.
apologizing for that.
That's
She was
nothing to do with it.
apologizing for the strikes.
Oh
She's
yeah,
a
I mixed up
friggin'
because she
spaz.
went and worked through the strikes type stuff. Yeah. I saw some autistic girl who said she's autistic. I'm not saying it. Noticed that Drew Barrymore lies and is lying about her emotions entirely, and her whole thing's fake, and she thinks it's a bad thing for society. I have it, but I won't pull it up. I got another another gal, an autistic girl of the week. You ready for autistic hero of the week? It's a female this week.
Whoa.
Wait, I gotta pull my thing up. Autistic hero of the week. I don't know if it's a hero, but it cracked me up. Hold on a second here. All right, here it goes. Are you ready?
It's Autism Awareness Month.
I'm actually already aware of autism, and you're never gonna guess how.
Damn, that was great.
Oh, that's golden. Oh man, that girl just got a bigger laugh out of me than every single one of Tara Burrell's jokes put together. That's comedy, Tara. That's how you do comedy. It takes 4 seconds. You just have to be a funny person.
I think all you have to do to be comedy is just a really weird inflections on your voice. You just change it around quite a bit, and then make some self-aware jokes about your nose.
You're really, man, you nailed it, Jared. That really is her whole bit. She's just like.
No, sometimes it's you got to talk. Oh my gosh, I am a woman. I'm
No,
a
she does
woman
that,
who goes and I have to wear my temple garments on Sunday.
She does. So she that's like when she's making fun of a Mormon. Her normal speaking is like she alternates between two different cadences. One is that tugging really high and just really rapidly, and you can barely understand what she's saying. And then she goes down, and then she just fluctuates and goes down and up. But the other one is that she talks like this, where she puts a large space in between every single word to emphasize what she is saying.
Yeah, and she was definitely doing that on the Tim Ballard thing so much that like I kind of lost track of what she was talking about even. But you're saying she does the Jiminy Glick just like Carden?
Yeah,
they both
does
do the
the Jiminy Glick.
Oh God, yeah. I call it the Steven Crowder, but Steven Crowder doesn't go low ever.
Is it just the comedy hack move? I guess.
I think it might be.
Jiminy Glick.
It's the I'm a podcaster, announcer, talker person, isn't it? Like,
I guess.
I think. So should we get to Mormon crap this week? I guess. Do you remember what Mormon crap?
Mormon
crap. Oh, I remember the Mormon crap.
Mormon crap this week.
Mormon?
Boom, 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 boom.
That well-informed, mentally.
Oh, there's that terrible guy that I watched 40 seconds of that awful cultural hall show.
Oh, you
I
saw
watched
that?
the
It
whole
was pretty
thing.
bad.
That was
Oh,
Oh,
his
did you
mind
watch
is
the whole
crazy
thing?
place.
yeah.
How did you suffer it? How did you
Well,
make
you
it?
got to do double time for starters.
Oh
You
yeah.
did double time with all those edits? Just
Oh god, yeah. I don't care about the edits.
oh man, but
The
those
edits are
edits
the only time. The only time Cultural Hall has ever been funny is when he put a South Park clip in his edit, and it's just because South Park's funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
Edit. So the two main Mormon craps this week that I would have focused on are the we saw John DeLynne's sex podcast.
Oh Jesus!
I don't know too, but then I'd actually, if we're gonna talk Mormon crap, I'd talk Jonathan and Troy discussing they're gonna get rebaptized. I think they said is what it was. And then Bill Reel and Jonathan today talking about
that one was interesting because Bill Reel clearly
Red Pill
like,
Reel. Red Pill
he wants
Reel.
to sort of tangentially align himself with the woke, just because that's what empathetic people do, that's what he's told, but he doesn't really know what it is because man, and Jonathan even explained it to him in his little opening spiel. He's like, look, the things that you just said there are problematic in the eyes of most trans right activists. I want you to know that, because he said things like, "Oh, trapped in a woman's body" or whatever. It's
Yeah, you
I
can't
don't
say
know.
that shit.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing with the woke stuff. But I mean, I'm glad he had the
No,
conversation.
I mean, this is that thing where like he keeps trying to think that woke stuff is just the newest iteration of classical liberalism. So he keeps like trying to rescue it with classical liberalism, like ideas like, oh no, it's just about like tolerance and to each their own and all this stuff, like, and it's like, no, that's not what it is. It's not what it's been for a long time.
Yeah, but at least he was listening and talking to Jonathan and getting some ideas out of it. So, Jared, do you want to give a degenerate book review of the Natasha Helfer sex episode?
Oh, Jesus Christ! So it was pretty fucking wild. We could. I made a TikTok about it.
Oh yeah, we could pull up your TikTok.
We can
Do you
play
have a
that.
link to that? In the
Yeah, I'll
meantime,
send it to you real quick.
I'll pull up this clip by Cultural Hall. Here it is.
Where do you come up with this stuff anyway?
My mind is a crazy place.
Yeah. Well, let's say it again. Does he say it again?
My mind is a
Mine's
crazy place.
Oh, your mind's a crazy place. Wow. You gotta have one of those crazy mind places to just do a bunch of like edits together on the story. That
I want to figure it out. But there's 100% chance that this Cultural Hall guy was an EFY advisor. Like, he just reeks. That guy that like turns his chair backwards to sit. It's like, let me tell you cool cats about not doing drugs. Okay, so I sent the link in our group chat. Basically, this Natasha Helfer Parker was the co-host on. It was an episode about sexuality, so obviously it was Natasha Helfer Parker, and it was this woman. I can't remember her name.
Sexologist.
I know, what the fuck is that?
Emily
Nagoski. Oh, this part they were singing.
She's not Mormon though, right?
No,
they
she's
just had
not.
on an expert, right?
An expert, yeah. She's who's never met a man in her life. She starts talking about shit like, well, one of my favorite things that she said was
Hold on,
that
I'm going to put up Jared's degenerate book review anyway because of this. Hold on. Go ahead.
And I almost read her book because of this. She talks about how the high libido member of the partnership, because we got to use gender neutral language, would be totally fine. Frequency doesn't matter. Frequency of sex. It's more quality of sex that matters. So if they're having really good sex, they don't mind if the other 90% of their orgasms come from jerking off. Like she actually said that, and I was like, have you ever talked to a man before, other than your like husband that you've browbeaten into pretending?
Well, she said that they've done the studies, and
time?
there's no physical problems at all for men not having sex. Like, okay,
There's
great
no,
study,
yeah,
lady.
there's you don't die from it. You're right. No, she said that. She talks about sex not being a need because you don't die for it. But the problem with need is need is a word that requires a qualifier, right? So if I say I need a car, to be like, well, you won't die without a car. No, I won't. But what I meant is I need a car in order to drive to work or whatever. If I say like, if somebody says I need sex, what they're not saying they're going to die without sex. They're saying I need sex in a relationship to have a fulfilling relationship. And I don't know what the fuck she's talking about, because like this is one thing that the experts are pretty in agreement on, that like in order to have a healthy relationship you need sex. Although with the rise of asexuality and gray sexuality, as Natasha puts it, that's we're going down. Anyway, she also, what was my favorite claim? I can't remember. Men have been conditioned by patriarchy to believe that
They want sex.
Yeah, basically to mistake their desires for things like cuddling or talking about their feelings with horniness, because the only emotion men are allowed to feel in patriarchy is horny. I don't know where the fuck she got that
Well,
from.
I think she kind of also.
No, I
hinted
mean,
at
she's right. 'Cause,
saying-
like, I remember when I was 6 years old and I was in the backyard and I was playing with, GI Joes and dirt. My dad came out and he's like, "All right, son, it's time to talk about your desire for sex. You are horny." He's like, "No,
you
dumb
won't.
bitch."
I think the way she kind of worded it is, you won't feel right unless you get sex in your life. So I'm going to program you to want sex because that's how society will view you as good and bad, and that's going to be the only reason that you want it or not, because I have now placed this in your head with this social construct.
Well, this is why, I know Forrest doesn't like it, but this is why people call this kind of thing a religion, right? Because they're making these claims that completely dismiss the fact that we're animals that reproduce sexually, that have evolved. And obviously the gene that's going to carry on is the gene that wanted to have sex. I mean, that's like the first gene that passed on ever.
Yeah, and it was a really good part of the discussion with Bill Reel and Jonathan today, as Jonathan went explaining to Bill Reel and ostensibly, hopefully, other people, that certain types of stereotypes don't come from social constructs.
Yes.
They come from biology and actual realities in life. And one of those things that's not just a social construct is men want the booty. Hate to say it, that's not just a social construct. Forrest says you're just using religion as a synonym for stupid belief. Forrest was saying that Troy was a sellout too in the Jonathan episode. I saw that he was upset and that Dennett was turning in his grave for them reconciling with religion on that whole thing. Anyway,
I mean,
back
he was being kind of cheeky. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I didn't watch the whole episode. I just caught the last part.
of the Troy and Jonathan.
Yeah.
I only got to the end too, but I heard you go on it. But I need to go back and listen to the beginning of it. But I was in meetings at the beginning part in my work. Reese still watched the Dennett Peterson talk. I did too. It was a little bit. Well, I don't know if Dennett was already, because Dennett to me seemed a little bit detached from the conversation, and now I'm thinking like, was he feeling not very good or something at that point? Too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Reese said they didn't cover much ground. I don't know if he just wasn't feeling good already or something like that, or he just didn't seem that interested in the conversation or talk. But
that's so it happens anytime Jordan Peterson talks to like one of the new atheists. They're always like, why would I care about this archetypal bullshit? I'm here to talk about biology and atheism.
Yeah. He wasn't going there with them at all. Did we all see Bill Reel's post about trans on Facebook? Yeah, we definitely saw it, and we saw that he started getting some pushback on it, and we think that's what led to him inviting Jonathan on today. And Jonathan had a long discussion where he went into the details and showed kind of in pictures all this stuff of like how it comes from different ideologies, like constructivist ideologies, what they call critical constructivist ideologies. And those critical constructivist ideologies are like the postmodernism or the queer theories and the gender theories and the feminist theories, all that sorts of stuff. In the middle of all this, I don't know if anybody watched, but like Bogosian got into like a huge fight with Julie Bindel, and that actually kind of mirrors the bear in the woods type joke, because she was like mad at him for suggesting that women get good at self-defense. He thought it was completely she felt Julie Bindel's a famous kind of turf feminist. She had a discussion with Peter Bogosian. She was super angry at Bogosian for asking why if women were constantly scared out in society of men, why wouldn't they take some sort of advantage of self-defense classes or guns or pepper spray or something like that. And he got thrown completely under the bus by the whole turf world on the internet and said, how dare you suggest women get good at self-defense? You're a sexist type deal. And so she gave him a tongue lashing about that one.
That was pretty funny. It was kind of wild because I guess the only thing I'd criticize about Peter Bogosian in that discussion was I don't like self-defense is a time-consuming thing to learn, and I don't know how much it would help a woman. And I guess it would help a little bit. But I feel like he mostly talked about like pepper spray and stuff like that. He asked her at the end, like, if I could show you data that said that if women carry pepper spray, they're more able to fend off attackers than women who do not carry pepper spray, would you then suggest to women to carry pepper spray? And she said, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
what? It's not on them. I was like, they're the rational people here, okay? Like And she went on that whole tirade, and I've heard this before from feminists, like, well, you talk about this, but what are you doing to end male violence? Have you ever held men accountable for their violence? I'm like, well, it's not particularly relevant all that often to me because, like, none of the guys that I hang around are violent towards women, and if they are, they don't tell me. If they did tell me, I'd say, hey, don't do that, asshole.
Yeah. There's so much stuff with that argument about violence in men with women that they just want to say, hey, no, we should be barking at society to change itself for the first time ever. And that's a little bit to do with the constructivist worldview too, because they think or assume that all of this stuff is just, if we told men a different story from birth or something, it would all go away or something like that.
Yeah, no, that's basically like they really think like there's like teach men not to rape as if that's a lesson. You know,
you don't remember that when your dad set you down after he told you that you need to be horny all the time? Next day, he sat you down and said, also don't rape. And you're like, oh, okay, I wanted to, but I'm glad you told me not to do that.
It's just like, you know, like I learned fractions. I learned how to read. I learned about the Spanish-American War, and I learned don't rape. Those are all the lessons I learned. Like, it's so bizarre how they think.
Yeah. But that's that whole constructivist worldview, man. I mean, that's just how it is. They think the only reason men want to have sex and want to have a lot of it and might be sexually minded and even promiscuous is because we were told to by society. It's the same thing we were talking about the other week when we were talking about those guys who think Mad Men is such a great story because we must only want products in the world because we were told to want said products by advertisements. And we only ever wanted skinny, attractive women because we were told that we only wanted that by society and
magazines. Magazines tell us that's what we want.
And it's just not true. It's not reality. And I think Jonathan did a great job of kind of piecing that out slowly, bit by bit, talking it through with Bill Real. Because I think he had to like kind of like pull it out slowly through those different, you know, kind of walking him through what all those different narratives are, and that some things are stereotypes, but some stereotypes are socially constructed, but then other stereotypes aren't. And it's really good. I think and Bill Real went all the way with him to the point that we think Bill Real might be in trouble and get called a bigot, mansplainer. One of us. He's going to be
misogynist. He's a rape apologist.
He's going to
be a first fascist before we know it.
Yeah.
Oh, Risto is asking about Dennett's compatibilism. And I would say one of the funnest conversations I've ever watched is Dennett and Sam Harris talking about Sam Harris's god-awful book, Free Will.
Yeah. Dennett did not like that, and he kind of ripped Harris apart for it.
It
And
was
they didn't talk
amazing.
for a couple of years about it.
I thought it was hilarious.
Then they ended up having a conversation some years later, and Dennett was still a little bit salty with him because he just said better minds have worked on this better. He said he just was real rough with Sam on that stuff. But
he was probably rougher than he needed to be. He seemed like personally offended by the book, which was funny because it's a dog shit book. But
well, it was a little bit of going into his realm with that and you had the guy right there, and you didn't like even really consult him about it or anything like that. I mean, maybe he was offended he didn't consult him or something, but I don't know. I've listened to Dennett, and there's a bunch of little short videos. I think they're like Think Bigs pieces by Dan Dennett, and because he says even if if it isn't determinism or not, we shouldn't be going around telling people that it's a deterministic world, because that itself is proven to create more sociopathic type people, because that's what the data shows. But what you gonna do? Let's listen to Saint of the Pyre talk about sex. Let's talk about sex. Oh gosh.
Do what you want with me. Hey, this might apply. This song might apply.
Do what you want with me. Don't turn me on, John. Okay, so don't turn me on, John.
I hate the fact that I'm a straight white male. And
I think I'm with you on this one, John. That interaction right there would make me gay. I'm positive.
Who's that? Is that just a random hot chick? Let's see. This is gonna be a dude or something. No, that's just what you get on TikTok. Girls badly singing.
Yeah,
stuff.
she's not even doing it right.
Well, no, I think they purposely don't do it right. They got to show that they don't care very much. Almost every single lip syncer I see doesn't lip sync it well. They kind of purposely show that they're not going hardcore into it. I think that's part of the thing. They really do. They just show that they're going only halfway into lip syncing it. What else do they talk about sex, man?
I mean, that was most of it. She talked about polyamory a little bit, and they're like, well, a lot of times Mormons will jump too quickly into polyamory, which is a good question. But then her solution was like, oh, you can't do polyamory unless your relationship is like super healthy. And it's funny because like the way she worded it, it sounded like she was gonna be like, I don't know, pretty reasonable on it. But she said, if you want to liberate yourself from the confines of heteronormative monogamy, then you got to be in a really, really healthy relationship.
Yeah, I would say that it's got to be more the opposite. You've got to be kind of like a detached relationship for convenience. I think that's the only one that would really work. You got to not have much skin in the game about caring that much what the other person does, but you've just kind of decided to stay together. That's what I think it works.
You have to emotionally attach yourself. That's the only way you could deal with the jealousy.
Yeah. Look on Scribe Light just tonight before I came on. Scribe Light's the guy who listens to TEDx talks and plays the bingo card with the TEDx talks. He had on tonight, honey, mind if I go to a sex party without you?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. It's the TEDx. I saw another one of like a Julie Hanks. They shared it over on Jacob's thing on Thoughtful Things. And it was Julie Hanks talking about being instead of an idolized mother, being a valuable mother or something like that. And I'm just like, man, TEDx, you suck so much. Like you're having people get up and just even talk about this stuff for
ourselves, what we're listening for otherwise.
Okay. Yeah, find like a
journey towards embodying presence.
Jesus Christ.
Journey towards embodying presence.
True, and
Yeah, there's gonna be too much with like
Or-
the people
or-
talking around.
That was
it.
the sentence. Journey toward embodying presence.
She sounds like she
Yeah.
wrote Deepak Chopra's wiki
Yeah.
page
I'd
or
like
something.
Yeah.
to share my journey with you to that point and beyond it.
Wait. So your connection to yourself. So when he was off having his sex party, you learned how to better connect with yourself in the absence of a partner. That kind of.
I love listening to rational people try to piece through what the these people are talking about and their thing.
It's amazing. I need to go to that channel more.
And then we will proceed.
If your partner, if your husband or your wife asked to go to a sex party without you,
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good, everybody. Misinformation says good. Faithless says good.
Why would
All
this
right.
be a talk?
If my partner asked to go to a sex party without me,
how would you react?
I think she's
I'd say
joking.
we need to have a serious conversation about our relationship.
Why would this be why would this be a TED talk? I listened to the whole thing too. Like why? There's no reason for it to be a TED talk. Crazy world. So here's Bill Real and Jonathan talking about the stuff and going through it. Didn't he pull out these slides of somebody else at some other point?
He showed us those slides. I don't know.
He hasn't like brought them up on a thing yet where it's
He might have. I haven't seen him do it.
yeah, so going through it and like talking about like what a stereotype is and sex and gender and how a lot of the different trans stuff is kind of playing off of stereotypes, which is a social construct, and sex and gender maybe aren't. I mean, I think piecing through it is really, really good. And I think Bill followed him all the way through it pretty well. I don't know. I kind of had like a different level of respect for Bill Real after just the fact that he was able to roll with it all the way through and listen and have a conversation about it and hear it out. And
The real test is going to be once the pushback sets in, seeing how he reacts.
it'll hit if they care enough to watch. It'll hit for sure. I don't know if he's posted it anywhere on. Well, I don't know. Maybe we could.
That's everybody. Like so many people have been working so hard to smear Jonathan as a hateful transphobe. You know, like a lot of people probably just figure, oh, I mean, they might even, without even listening to it, they say, why are you talking to that transphobe?
Damn. So one of the first comments on there from a couple hours ago is pretty cool. This guy says, I'm a politically moderate ex-Mormon gay man. I can't say enough that when I studied the Bite model to deconstruct my religion, I saw a lot of the same things in American politics, especially the trans issue. I've read a lot of data that supports genderqueer theories and also data that challenge it. I'm not sure where I fully stand. I'm inclined towards compassion and understanding, but if I ever feel I'm allowed to question or be curious about this issue, I get all sorts of triggered from my Mormon experience.
I mean, one of the things that Jonathan ends up talking about or saying in the whole thing is that one of the things you might be causing harm to is you might be going out and castrating gay kids. So if you're a gay person, like what's the harm that's being caused here? Like, are you harming a trans person by not fulfilling their trans identity, or are you just messing up a gay kid's life? And it's very interesting being trans person. Listen to the very first person. This guy named Troy Levitt says, this is an important and difficult discussion. Both of these bigots handled it with grace and sense. Oh, I added that. Both Bill and John handled it with grace and sensitivity. Let's see. I don't know if this was already there. Oh, a comment from Jared Higdon. Thanks for hosting this discussion, bigots. Oh, no, that's Bill. Dang it, man.
Don't read my comment. I don't want people to know I was nice to Bill.
Yeah. Well, I saw you chewing out Jonathan that you might have to like back off of making fun of his
No, absolutely not. There's no way in hell I would ever stop making fun of Bill's child indoctrination Uncanny Valley series.
Has he made any new ones?
No, he hasn't for a while. And I told Jonathan that if he makes Bill Real into a reasonable man out of this, and to the point where Bill Real stops trying to convince little kids with Uncanny Valley AI that God is dead and that they should do shrooms, I will never forgive Jonathan. I will block him and never talk to him again.
Troy made a comment on there saying Streeter mentions Buck Angel, a trans man who transitioned 30 years ago, but who rejects the queer theory lens regarding gender. He has a YouTube channel where he expresses his opinion regarding trans issues, primarily concerned with how trans activists have made the acceptance of adult trans people like him harder. And that's how they have set things back. Yeah, I've heard some of that. I saw that one Mormon girl go on his channel and regurgitate the thing that missionaries are human trafficking.
Jesus Christ.
But I remember Buck Angel being like, what? It's kind of funny. Anyway, Mormon crap, sex crap. I think Jonathan and Troy, what are your thoughts on Jonathan's Troy? The idea, what is his acronym FAITH? He has like that FAITH acronym of how to reconcile with religion. Do you remember what the faith tenets were, or did you hear that part?
Sorry, what?
You didn't hear it? Jonathan and Troy together brought out a new acronym called FAITH.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was,
yeah.
The acronym was like a way to redo faith in a post-believing world. Risto says it was very this little corner, which is referring to Vanderklay and that sort of stuff. I don't remember the acronym. Does anybody remember the acronym of faith?
I don't.
I
Well,
didn't either.
You didn't listen to it?
I'm morally opposed to acronyms.
Morally opposed?
Because I work in the government. I want acronyms to die.
Oh, yeah. I get that. Yes.
My wife, I don't even realize how often I use them. Like some dude was in our front yard talking to me because he works out there too. And my wife's standing there, and I didn't realize how often we was using them. He's like, "Oh, you work out at RWMC?" I was like, "Well, I used to work out there, but then I went over to AMWTP. Now I'm doing D&D over at NRF." And and my wife's like, "What the fuck are you talking? What did you say? You just said a bunch of letters." I was like, "I did, and I hate it."
You sound like a Scientologist.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Man, Troy and Jonathan have like good little markings and bookmarks all the way through the whole entire thing. So go watch that. Here it is. I'll advertise it on here because everybody should go watch it. I tried to watch it live, but this is it.
Either unrighteous,
Look
sinful,
at 'em go.
dangerous, or
Look at 'em
destabilizing or something
go.
like that.
An evolutionary
And so
living
you'll find a lot of
faith.
ex-Mormons that are like,
Why
maybe
isn't
I'm
it
gonna
written out
experiment
here
a little
anywhere
bit
though?
with psychedelics. Maybe I'm gonna.
He has this faith acronym, but I didn't see it. Troy, what was it? Troy. Faith.
Fight all intellectuals today, honey.
Nope. Can't find it. Should we check in on the live stream of the Mormon of the
Farting at intersex, totally harmless.
What the fuck?
So there was a Ward radio to get back into the gender wars. They had an episode this morning that said that general conference talks are far more geared towards women than towards men, and they did a study on it. That almost all general conference talks are geared towards women.
Well, it's all just telling them that they need to be silent and have babies.
They sort themselves out. Sort yourselves out, women.
On the man, do you sell it to the highest anti-Mormon bidder so he can besmirch the prophet of the restoration in a cynical bid for a filthy lucre? You know what I'm saying? Like,
The
what?
possibilities are endless.
Yeah, what do you do? Geez, okay. Well, we wish our buddy Kwaku L the best and trust that he will do his best to represent Joseph Smith well. The only
Can I get some super chats?
You can get
when
the only
you're
super
done?
chats, but the only criticism I got for you, Kwaku, is buddy. Copyright 2023, josephsmith.com, all rights reserved. That's last year's date. That's bad for SEO if you got an old copyright.
What? I wonder what happened with Quaku. Seen some sort of announcement?
Yeah, I don't get that. What's going on?
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
here
not
it is.
saying this was
Troy
monos.
posted it. It says, seeing religion as an evolutionary living framework of action, ideals, tradition, and heritage.
Oh.
What's
Still don't get
what's
it.
Quaker doing? There's some sort of
Yeah, I was gonna
nonsense
say
with
because like
Quaker doing something.
I was kind of surprised. Like, has Carden have they said anything about the whole Kwaku situation?
Nah,
Which
they
part?
won't.
Just
Him
that
going pretty
Oh,
woke.
being like a raging leftist type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smith.com is big.
I think he kind of backed off it, but no, they don't ever. Like he does that off of Ward Radio and separately.
Huh.
Big deal. That changed a few weeks ago when
I don't know. We'll have to find out what that was. But this is the Ward Radio episode saying that it's all
Is
about
the real issue the fact that women can't sit on the stand and be in charge of everybody else? Or is the real issue who are we actually helping and serving and catering to in the church? And do we need to change that?
Zoom. That's a pretty interesting one. All the rest of the stuff they're doing lately, I mean, they've kind of bored me a whole lot with them.
Really?
Oh, this high school one is. I was telling you guys about the Benemérito in Mexico. Benemérito was a high school that they got rid of. And this one they talk about high schools all over the world. I don't know why they got rid of the one in Mexico, but they talk about like all these different Polynesian countries having the exact same type of high schools in them. But they got rid of it in Mexico City. They had a high school in Mexico City for years. Oh, the debunking one. This lady right here. This lady right here has like the quintessential. Do you remember when Infants on Thrones had that girl who would do like the Mormon voice talk? Like, that's very spiritual.
It just
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
so degrading.
It's like a
because people who don't
unrealistic
This one.
and very underrepresentative of the normal traditional
Trad wives.
homemaking motherhood that humanity
So that's them
has
talking about
experienced and
trad wives on the same day that Troy and Jonathan were talking about pomo trad stuff. Trad wives, trad everything. Everybody's faking it till they make it, I guess. But I don't know. They're boring.
Everybody's going all religious now. Russell Brand is baptized. Shia LaBeouf
Yeah.
is Catholic.
But
Shia LaBeouf is?
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf is Catholic now, like baptized Catholic.
Wow.
Recently, which he needed it.
Well, probably Russell Brand did too.
Probably.
I don't know. I had so much like
this week.
Hamas stuff. What's that?
So maybe there wasn't just enough stupid this week.
Oh, there's plenty. It's just
Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon news update for April 29th, 2024.
there's a new Mormon
First up, we're going
TikToker.
to talk about the Philippines. Alan Oakes first arrived in the Philippines as an apostle with the assignment to serve as an area president back in 2002. At the time, the Philippines had 600,000 members. One temple, and Alan Oakes said, did not have enough Latter-day Saints with a current temple recommend for him to recommend a second temple for the nation. Now, let's look at the Philippines in 2024. The church reports that it has 867,271 members and 13 temples either built, under construction, or announced. So at 600,000 members, they did not have a
That's just another channel. I mean, there's another one.
It's just another thing that nobody cares about. That's the problem with like doing a show, a weekly show on news in Mormonism. It's just not enough happens.
Yeah, now there's like 10 of them.
What you got to
There's
do
10.
is, I know what you got to do is catastrophize everything. That's the only way to do it. I've been talking to one of my friends who, we talk about how we'll watch like Matt Walsh say something reasonable about transgender and then something just batshit insane the very next day about like praising some vigilante who killed a guy he thought raped his daughter, but then it turns out he was wrong about the guy.
Whoop.
And
I gotta
yeah,
hey, I gotta do a forced restart, so I'll be right back. But my computer's
Okay.
spazzing out.
but I'm thinking like I think maybe you just shouldn't be paid to talk every day because if you are, you run out of things to say, and the only way to really mitigate that is by saying insane shit, or at least that's what it seems like.
Or just dragging stuff out. I mean, Like I listened to like a lot of like the Tim Pool stuff, and I realized that like I can watch a Tim Pool episode in about 3 minutes and just kind of fast forward every 5 minutes and listen to 10 seconds.
Yeah,
And-
he's not a slow speaker. He just doesn't say much of substance. It's actually really, I could listen to him on like 4 times speed. That was one of the frustrating parts about listening to Jonathan talk to Bill Reel, because I think I could listen to Bill Reel on like triple speed and totally understand and comprehend everything he says. But like Jonathan actually says things, and so I actually have to think about the things that he says. So
Yeah.
I can't listen to him. Like I can listen to him on like 1.5. I can listen to just about anything on that, but anything faster than that, and I lose comprehension with Jonathan.
There's only a couple people that are a little bit too fast for me, and sometimes if they have a foreign accent, I can't listen to. Like some English people, I got to slow down. It's too, or some Irish and Scottish people as well. Look at this. Here's what's his name screaming at protesters? Robert De Niro.
What's he yelling about?
He's just yelling at protesters, people standing there and standing in their ways to get out of the way and sort of stuff. And it's funny how like
You don't understand. I support your cause, but you are inconveniencing some very important people.
yeah, so there's a lot of people who are kind of talking about how like this. So this is Aaron McIntyre again. He's saying stop saving these like don't send in the cops and all that stuff because
My dear conservative friends, we need to talk. This is more of an intervention than anything else. You have to stop protecting institutions that are committed to destroying your way of life. The university system hates you. Yes, you. It always has. And it will continue to hate you until it's dismantled brick by brick and replaced with something else, something better. The universities are just never going to be into you. And if 2 factions of the left want to destroy themselves while shutting down college campuses, well, that's what we in politics like to call a win. You don't need to ride to the rescue. You aren't the white knight in this scenario. Just grab some popcorn, enjoy the show. I promise this is going to work out in your favor if you'll just let it. Protests surrounding the Hamas terror attacks on October 7th in Gaza and the subsequent response by Israel have now raged on college campuses across the country for weeks. The establishment left is nominally pro-Israel due to a legacy attachment to the nation and the need to maintain a healthy relationship with major donors. The more radical leftist vanguard has drunk deeply from the well of wokeness and made the natural connection between anti-European decolonization rhetoric and Israel, which is now identified as a white colonial oppressor. Jews have been stalwart Democratic voters for a long time and have avoided being dropped to the bottom of the party's oppression hierarchy. But the arrangement is now being called into question by other members of the coalition. The left has imported and elevated a generation of immigrants who feel no attachment to America's past relationship with Israel, and many in the vanguard come from cultures that are openly hostile to the Jewish nation. The Progressive Coalition has always been tenuous, and October 7th created an eruption across the most critical fault line that has manifested as an intra-leftist civil war playing out on college campuses. Now, most opposing political parties would recognize this as a gift from on high, but the Republicans have several specific hang-ups that compel them to solve this problem for their opponents. The conservative impulse to protect institutions is an admirable one. In a healthy society, institutions are the formal structures that help to enshrine a culture's values and transmit them to the next generation. But American society is not healthy, and the long march through the institutions perpetrated by the left has installed a hostile ideology deep into the heart of the university system. College campuses are not places of learning where promising young minds develop the leadership skills necessary to forge a brighter future. These institutions are progressive seminaries where students go deeply into debt to learn how to hate their parents, religion, and nation. This ideological poison is then distributed through every major corporation, piece of entertainment, and news headline as college graduates take their places as leaders and managers throughout society. Conservatives have complained for decades that public schools are hostile indoctrination centers designed to secure leftist hegemony, and they were correct. But when the pandemic hit and shut down those enemy institutions, conservatives became the most vocal proponents of reopening them. That very same dynamic is currently playing itself out on university campuses. Conservatives may complain about the education system, but they're ultimately defenders of the status quo and would rather see these institutions continue to operate, even if they're calling for the literal destruction of the United States. Part of this response is linked to the natural and admirable conservative impulse towards order. Conservatives recoil at the idea of violence and intimidation on these campuses, and where Republican governors are in charge, they should absolutely protect the physical safety of all students. But there's also an impulse among many Republican politicians to punish public criticism of Israel, and this is a serious problem. The right has spent endless hours, tons of YouTube videos, so many podcasts mocking the leftist idea of hate speech and safe spaces. But now many GOP politicians are suddenly obsessed with implementing exactly those policies. Governors like Greg Abbott of Texas and Kevin Stitt of Oklahoma, for example, have come out in favor of cracking down on quote-unquote hate speech and
Have you seen that anti-Semitism bill that I guess it passed the House?
Yeah, so there was actually Brianna Greyjoy and the Hill Rising. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's their channel. It's her and Robbie. I don't know his last name, but they covered that, and it was one of the funniest interactions ever. I've never seen him so frustrated. Sitch and Adam covered it great, where they were basically both agreeing, right? Because there's Brianna is the leftist, and Robbie he's conservative. He's more libertarian, but they're talking about
Is it Robbie
shutting.
Starbucks?
I don't know, but they're talking about how they're shutting down all these protests, and he's like, if they're not doing anything illegal, I'm definitely against them shutting down the protests. So they're basically agreeing on all this shit. And then she brings up that bill, this like trying to some guy trying to bring about an anti-Semitism task force and shit like that, and he mentioned like that he's against this type. This is like DEI, and she just lost her shit, like telling him, and he's sitting there telling her like, I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? Like you and I agree on that this is a bad thing, and I just use DEI to describe an organization that they're trying to set up to root out anti-Semitism. I can't remember exactly what it is, but you got to watch the Sitch and Adam show. It's pretty funny.
Well, supposedly, I guess this bill that passed the House, who knows if it'll pass the Senate. There's some people saying that there's no way it's going to pass the Senate. I saw even Matt Walsh come out against it, which is a risky thing for him to do on Ben Shapiro's channel lately.
He seems to know how to tread that line better than Candace Owens did.
But the bill absolutely says that I think it's basically the Anti-Defamation League that gets to decide what anti-Semitism is. So it's like this NGO that's not even like American run is written into the bill as the thing that decides what anti-Semitism or not. It's a ridiculous bill. And Matt Walsh pointed out some of it is like some of the things that are listed that they said that they would come down on is the criticism of the government of Israel. And yeah, there's no way it can pass. It's a ridiculous thing. But this is pretty funny. Jack Pozobiak posted. There were some videos of frat boys going out and cleaning up and tearing down camps and that sort of thing. But he says, returning the frat bros to the campus like reintroducing wolves to Yellowstone to restore the natural balance of the ecosystem. That kind of goes back to that Sam Hyde video that we used to show of like bullies. You need to introduce bullies early and often. Bullies. Yeah. That's all ridiculous. Here's something about Hassan Piker types.
My name is James. I'm a socialist, and I have a socialist-inspired clothing company called Comrade Workwear.
One of my favorite internet grifts is the socialism grift. It's where someone who lives in a world of decadence and comfort, generally middle class to upper middle class in the United States, sells socialism to people who don't know any better so that they can then sell products to these people they've already sold socialism to. If you don't understand how the grift works, let me quickly explain it to you. A young person, generally a male from a more affluent lifestyle, will adopt socialism. Usually they're relatively attractive and use sexual signaling as a way to be able to garner attention. the fruity little chains, the wife beater, the fucking tattoos, the whole nine. Despite the fact that this particular one looks like the rat from fucking Flushed Away, it works every time without a hesitation. The grifter will usually say hyperbolic and insane shit on the internet to get attention, and will follow trends to the most extreme degree. Like, for example, suggesting that we should invade the state of Israel.
But if we were gonna go invade the Zionist state, like I'd be down. I would do that.
It doesn't matter how boneheaded the hyperbolic thing actually is, because they never actually have to live out the boneheaded hyperbolic thing. He doesn't actually mean it, right? He doesn't have to mean it because he knows it's never going to happen. And if it ever does happen, he can kind of just opt out. But he says it because it gets him attention and the eyeballs of people who are radicalized that he can then sell product to. Now, once he said enough insane hyperbolic shit on the internet to garner attention, he will then plug his t-shirts and sweaters, which $45 CAD, I don't know. That's not a bad price. Got to undercut the competition in this market, King. You got to get them locked in before you rack up the prices. Respect. And they'll continue to rinse and repeat until the grift is over. The ones that are intelligent will understand the grift will end eventually and that they need to take some of their money and invest it. Hassan Piker. Hi, Hassan Piker. I see you. Now, why does it bother me? Why do I even bring it up? Because unfortunately, these people understand that they can do this and make a ton of money, and they don't actually give a shit about the long-term consequences. Because as it turns out, when they reinforce already radicalized worldviews to be able to sell product, they are continuing to radicalize people. As it turns out, they don't actually give a crap about being ethical when selling their product or marketing it, which makes them just as bad as the capitalists that they purport to hate. The only thing that's important is their profit margins, making money and ensuring that they are comfortable and well off. Nuanced.
Do you want a lesson? Well, go
I
ahead.
just think of my communist friend, because I know I've mentioned before, but he's a real life example because he's a self-described communist. And I'm not saying he has socialist ideas and doesn't know better. He's like his words: "I am a communist. Marx was right." and he's a landlord. He makes his living renting out a house he owns in another state. I asked him
about that.
I asked him. I said directly, because at that time we were friends. How do you justify that? What Marxism thinks of landlords, and his answer was, "I have to work within the system."
Yeah, that's what they say. I saw Tom Morello say the same thing on Bill Maher.
That's a reasonable answer for why you own a phone or whatever, or a car, or why you own a house. It's not a reasonable answer for why you're a landlord.
Well,
Do you know what they say about landlords? They want you dead.
It's the same thing as when you point out shitty shit that feminists do, and they say, the patriarchy. It's just their way of saying the devil made me do it. Literally, that's what they're saying. Is the devil made me do it. I know it's wrong, but the devil made me do it. I didn't have a choice.
I'll never forget my just laughing. Me and my friend laughing our ass off because we're watching late night TV one time, and all of a sudden an ad comes on for Tom Morello's Masterclass guitar series for only $39.99 a month or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
That guy's not good at guitar.
Is he not? I don't ever listen to them, so
he's not good. Rage is one of those bands. There's a lot of bands that when I was younger and I was like, you guys suck. And then I learned to grow. I grew up and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. But the one band that I have always thought was overrated shit is Rage Against the Machine. They have always been shit. Also, because I remember when I was in high school in the 90s, because I talked to my peers, I'm like, why do you guys like this stuff? And they're like, dude, he sings about government and social problems. And I'm like, wait, you get your information on civilization from a shitty rock band? Libraries exist, because the internet didn't exist before then. But there's better sources for political knowledge than a really bad rock band that is intensely hypocritical because they're happy to take your money while singing about how capitalism is bad.
My hypothesis on why Rage got so popular is because they said everybody heard the line "fuck you, I won't do it, you tell me" over and over, screaming.
Look at the comments,
and they just thought, oh my god, yeah, and they were thinking of like their parents and their pastor
Yeah.
and their teacher and all that shit. And then
I mean, like,
Rage,
possibly the greatest irony is somebody wearing a shirt. Like, I paid for a shirt that says "fuck you, I won't do what you told me." Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's just my hypothesis. I think they heard that they had some anger directed toward parents and authority figures, and they're like, yeah, direct that also at the capitalist patriarchal system. And well, unless they tell you to wear a mask and get vaxxed, do that for goddamn sure. We will, when that happens, we will rage on behalf of the machine.
Yeah, I remember, like, I remember, like, the people talk about, oh, Tom Morello is such a great guitar player, and it's like, for me, like, because there's a lot of guitar players that I like. Some of my favorite guitar players are not virtuosos, but I really like their style.
He was creative with sounds.
Was he
Okay.
like? And it's like he used toenail clippers. Like, okay,
That sounds like a Jack White move. So you want to know who one of the most disappointing, like when you find out that he's a really good guitar player, you'll be disappointed, is Brad Paisley.
Oh,
no, that
he's incredible.
guy,
He's so good.
He
Yeah,
is
his music
so much
is
a better.
terrible.
He's a way better guitar player than he is a singer or anything else. Like, that's his single greatest talent, except that he's sexy and has a good voice. And so the women
he
like
can
him.
do anything.
I'm
on
not
guitar.
really like crazy about any of the songs either, but man, he can rip.
No, yeah, that's the weird thing is because like
I
he
remember
does awful
seeing that.
bubblegum pop country, but the guy, like, if he wasn't Brad Paisley, he would be a chicken picker in a really great band.
You know what's crazy is that the first time I figured that out is I was looking up like John Frusciante guitar videos, and because John Frusciante is awesome, and I see this thing and it's like a discussion with three guitar gods: John Frusciante, Brad Paisley, and the third one, John Mayer.
It's John Mayer, Brad Paisley. There's one who's actually good too, and it'll piss you off, is Keith Urban.
Really?
Keith Urban can play. You know, there's actually like some scenes of him and Brad Paisley playing together and trading solos and crap, and it'll piss you off. But yeah, they can play. Going back to like the capitalism goofy stuff, that's one of the gripes I had with the Fallout series. Like, if you're gonna say these capitalists had a plan to wipe out society for profit, like,
Fallout, yeah.
It's just a little bit of a hard sell for me. Like,
Wait a minute.
Well, no, see, like, Kate, like the reason that works in Fallout for me is because there's a lot of magical stuff in Fallout. You know, like there's a lot of super technology. Like, you know, one of the things that always bugs me about Fallout is the Brotherhood of Steel's gyrocopter, helicopters, gunship things.
Yeah,
are aerodynamically nonsensical. Like,
yeah, they're awesome.
They're aerodynamically fucking possible, but okay. And so, like, you know, and that's the thing is, like, with Fallout, I'm willing to take the conceit on capitalism in that, like, they've already kind of nodded, like, okay, this is a magical world. You're gonna have to, like, this is not real. And so, like, if we just kind of
are immortal people,
so. Yeah, there's like, so, like, you know, like, because it's basically, you know, a fantasy world, like, I can suspend my, you know, whatever, the suspension of disbelief that, like, yeah, maybe capitalists would be so evil that they would actually rather end the world to make a buck or whatever. But, like, yeah, again, like, because
Wait,
it's
is that
magic.
what happens in Fallout? Like, you find out, like,
I like that was added in the show. I heard from
bombs
Games
are
Fan.
dropped
in the
by
in the
Vault-Tec?
games. There's a lot of hinting in the games. Like, in the games, there's all kinds of stuff hinting about how, you know, all the different forces are working together. You know, like in the games, you uncover a lot of stuff about military and secret plans, and, you know, and, like, there's all kinds of competing stuff. And then in the TV show, they literally made it that, you know, Vault-Tec engineered the end of the world in order to fiduciary responsibility, right? The idea is that, like,
the impression I always got was that they just saw the end coming because the world was already at war and we had nuclear weapons. So they made all these vaults and decided they wanted to experiment on humans because of it. So, like, they were evil, but, like, they didn't orchestrate it. That's what I gleaned from Fallout. Not the show. I haven't watched the show all the way.
Troy's talking about the distinction between second and third wave feminism. I mean, I always kind of go back to Seneca Falls. We can look at the Seneca Falls Declaration. First wave feminism. The history of mankind is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations on the part of man towards women, having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over her. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. This is one we've always kind of like pulled up. Like, it doesn't sound that much different than second or third wave. It's just men are just evil, and the history of everything has just been the evilness of men. And he's taken from her all her rights and property, even the wages to earn. He's monopolized nearly all profitable employments, and from she's permitted to follow, she receives but a scanty remuneration. He has usurped the prerogative of Jehovah himself, claiming his right to assign for her a sphere of action when that belongs to her conscience and to her God. He's endeavored in every way that he could to destroy her confidence in her own powers, to lessen her self-respect, and to make her willing to lead a dependent and abject life. I mean, it's from the get, it's pretty vitriolic.
Is every woke ideology just a group of people complaining about things that have never happened to them?
Pretty much.
Because that's what I thought when that woman on the TikTok woman you showed us is talking about the whole bear thing. And she's like, well, if your gender had treated our gender like dog shit for centuries, I'm like, okay, what's happened to you? Like, what has happened to you? What men have treated you like dog shit? At what point in your life have you been treated like a second-class citizen? Because I feel like you're just getting angry. You're taking on all these terrible things that you think happened to people that look kind of like you.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, again, they have this Nazi problem that, like, the Nazis can't distinguish between that Jew did something bad to me and Jews are bad, right? You know, like, and women have that same problem where it's like, that man did something bad to me. Like, you know, and that's funny because, like, feminists are constantly projecting on me when they're like, oh, you hate women because of what happened to you. Like, no, I hate my ex-wife. Just her. She's the one that did it, not women, right? She did it, and feminists were her accomplice, and they cover her for her to this day, even though they don't know anything about the situation. They just, by default, you know. But, like, no, that's not women. That's a woman, you know. But same thing, like, yeah, they think like Nazis. They think that everybody represents their group and not themselves.
Yeah. One of the things about that too, I've recommended this book, and there's also a Tildeer channel on Rumble. It's only on Rumble because he's gotten away from YouTube.
I was gonna say Tildeer, like, he's the guy who disappeared. Did he get algorithm?
He's on Rumble, and he's still doing great stuff over on Rumble. And I'll pull up his channel over here. But
I guess I'm a stupid asshole because I just never bothered with Rumble. We're on Rumble, aren't we?
You want to know?
Yeah, I think you auto.
Oh, are we? You know what's funny? You got to go to Rumble because it's clearly, you know, we all know it's marketed toward conservatives. It's just funny because so are the ads. Like, every single ad you get on Rumble is like, are you tired of coffee that loves killing babies? Well, try Black Rifle. It's like the most, because
I
Black
hate
Rifle
that
coffee.
shit.
Oh, I know, it's annoying as hell because, like, Black Rifle coffee was obviously marketed toward conservatives because they got Steven Crowder, but his ad reads were usually like, just, you know, drink this coffee. You go to Rumble, it's full on like, you don't want them Jesus hating Folgers.
Whoa, there's a Teal Deer did a whole other video about Gamergate just 3 weeks ago. Wow. Why am I such a sucker that this is the first time I go to Rumble? Although I'm probably going to get bored of it really quick because of, like you say, like, because I don't like shit dripping with conservative bullshit, you know, like, and like I say, like, I hate that thing with, you know, the conservative advertising, like, that stuff is cringe as hell. But
yeah, you just have to click them because Atheism Unstoppable is over there now too, fully free.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Fully free?
Man.
Yeah. You just gotta find his channel.
I thought you had to pay for his.
No, for a while he was paying to be on that unregistered
shit.
or whatever.
I'll have to.
But all of his stuff uploads to Rumble now.
Wow. No, that's good news.
He's there.
So him and
does
Hypocrites over there. Yeah. There's some people like Styx Hexenhammer does some Rumble only uploads, half of them, 'cause I'm trying to like pull people away. But this lady, Rachel Wilson, wrote this book, and the reason I recommend Tildeer as well is because this lady's a definite Christian Orthodox, so she weaves into it some of her preaching of her Christian Orthodoxy. But the research is good, and part of what she goes into is how astroturfed that first wave feminism was, and it was astroturfed by what would be the equivalent of billionaire women nowadays. It was all like the Vanderbilts and the whatever, these women who had deceased husbands and they had tons of money, and even through divorce and other sorts of things had all sorts of money, and they were all Vanderbilts and what are the other names, the Rockefellers and all that sorts of time, and they completely astroturfed first wave feminism all the way through, and then like filled it in with all that sort of vitriolic stuff about men. And on top of that, they created like the desire for it, like their women did not want to vote for that stuff back in that time frame of the first wave, like the first thing, like they were totally against it, but it got moved up, just like what you were saying about James Lindsay earlier's podcast today, like the feigned what was the thing he said talked about today, the
planned spontaneity.
The planned spontaneity. Seneca Falls and the first wave feminism was planned. It was astroturfed. It was planned spontaneity all the way back then, and it was Marxist all the way back then in the 1800s type stuff. But
no, the famous thing was that like right after World War I, the Austrian government like passed a law that gave women the right to vote, and the women went to the streets and protested and demanded repeal of the law, and they succeeded because under that law they would have had, not only would they have the right to vote, they weren't getting the right to vote, they got the exact same privileges to vote as men did, which meant that it came with all the same responsibilities, which included the draft. Now, this was right after World War I. So, of course, women were like, no, right? Because, like, this is one of those big lies of feminism. It's like, oh, feminism earned the women the right to vote. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Women got the right to vote exactly when they wanted it. And they wanted it when the draft was off the table. Like, that's literally what it came down to. Once the draft was off the table, then feminists wanted the right to vote.
Yeah. So here's Tildeer over on Rumble, and you can see right here he covers the book Occult Feminism, and the reason I recommend him isn't just he covers it. He's read all of like the Stanford books that back up the same stuff.
Damn.
So he's an atheist, so he's not like a Christian Orthodox. So he's going to criticize like how religious she got in that, but then at the same time he's going to say, yes, all of that stuff about the first wave feminists is true. All their occultisms, all of their weird astroturfing and weird money stuff, he'll back it up 100% with a book list and a reading list and that sort of stuff with it. And here's this other thing here. Feminism is a religion. And the thing is, like, I promise you, like, if you listen to these from him on Rumble, it's not just, hey, it's kind of like a religion. He's going to give you a reading list that backs the stuff up going all the way back 150 years. Right? So check Tildeer's stuff out.
I will. It looks like it's just Degenerate Book Club, but an entire channel.
It's Degenerate Book Club, but it's also like a 150-year-old Degenerate Book Club. But I mean, he's pretty good at like making it all kind of tie into stuff to today, you know. But he's got the references. He's got the book references for it. I wish I could rip them off of the top of my head. All I can do is tell people where the people with the references are. It's kind of like a thing they say that like our brains all got messed up with modern day computers because we no longer remember information. We remember where we stored the information. And that's kind of like how my brain goes like, oh, I know the folder on my computer that will tell you all about this. I have all this backup on my phone of the stuff I saved that will prove all this.
But I remember 10 years ago or more on Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, they talked about research that showed that already the internet has changed our brains, and that people used to know things, now they know where to find things.
Yeah.
And that's how our brains work. Like the way we catalog information. Like my grandpa just knew all the shit, and kids now just know where to find the shit.
Yeah, for sure. Let me see.
Oh, I also remember like I feel like the sweet spot of internet is when, and this is going to sound dumb probably because I think everybody thinks the sweet spot of technology is exactly when they were like 15 years old. So this is probably just my bias speaking, but I feel like the sweet spot of the internet is when it was like a treat to get online. When getting on the internet felt like a reward. Like after a day's work, you go and you sit down and you say, what's going on with my friends and what's going on in the world? And you type things. I remember carrying a notepad with me where I would write things down or be like, I need to Google that when I get home. And it was great. And now, like, I Google less. I'm better about it now, but I remember for years, I'd be like, I'd think of a piece of information and I would be like, oh, I used to write that down and Google it when I got home, but I could Google it any time. And then I would just forget it.
Yeah, no, like I am like I kind of feel blessed in that I am the perfect age, like that I was the cusp, because I might be like the last person that legitimately, unironically used the card catalog at the library. Because when I was 8 or 9, they
I
had
used
not.
it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for
I
college,
figured it
or-
out. Yeah.
Oh, but I just mean because like when I was a little kid, like just at my local library, they had, you know, like for my earliest memories of the library, they had computers there. But I remember they only had part of the catalog on the computers. And I was looking up books about World War II airplanes. And it used to be you'd go to the computer and I'd be like, I want this. And it would just say, card catalog, we can't help you. And so I went to the card catalog and I learned how to use it because I had my classes in school where they taught me how to use it. And I literally used the card catalog, Dewey Decimal System, all that stuff. And I got my book about World War II airplanes. Now it's just, I just go to Google World War II airplanes.
Man, it was fun finding a book with a Dewey Decimal
Yeah,
System. Like,
it was like, no, like that's one thing. Like, you know, this is one of the, like, it's nostalgia. Like, I get that the future is better, but goddamn, libraries used to be so fun, and now they're just pointless. Library is just, it's just dumb now.
yeah. So here's Atheism is Unstoppable over on Rumble. His stuff's all available there now. Did you realize this is Atheism is Unstoppable?
Whoa,
Really?
that's Devin Tracy. I thought it was bald.
That's Devin Tracy. He was there at the OJ trial. He was there at the OJ verdict. Present,
Holy
sitting next to Richard Dreyfuss.
How old is he?
He was just like a teen, and his dad got him in because he like worked at the courts or something like that. You know, his dad did like the African drum beat music to the Muppets. Like his dad was like a Muppets music consultant and an
Whoa.
expert in South African drum beat music.
Oh,
Yeah.
huh.
Yeah.
So he just
Called
appropriated
bionic
that
boomers.
culture.
Seniors once riddled with debilitating arthritis pain, given a new lease on life thanks to Dr. Paris's unusual method
that's
for
not too
relieving
bad.
stiff, achy joints.
Stiff achy joints. What's this one? Casinos. We didn't get any random conservative ones.
No, you're right.
This ain't no disco.
Oh man, he's gonna put the music on there. He edits his videos so well, but I'm gonna get in trouble for like playing the music that's on there. So here he's gonna talk about it. So he was on Lotus Eaters, and he gave like a half hour on Lotus Eaters because the Lotus Eaters had him on because he was present at OJ's trial when OJ's death. You know, has a lot to say about it.
That still blows my mind.
Discuss all those things, but this is the where. And I have done a little prep work here to give you a
What
guided
blows you?
tour. Because many people think that I have some connection with O.J. Simpson simply because I went to the case, a case that dragged on for 11 months. A lot of people went to this case, and it was watched on television. So it's not exactly true, but it kind of is because it had a huge impact on my life, and it sort of is the origin story of AIU, and I'm still not over it. In no means am I over the OJ case. Even though he's dead, it doesn't matter. He shouldn't have been alive this whole time, and Nicole and Ron shouldn't have been murdered. So it is perturbing to me.
It's so funny he's sitting right next to Richard Dreyfuss like, the whole time.
So weird.
Now that still blows my mind, the whole O.J. Simpson trial, that there was so many people who, like, they knew he did it. And
Oh
then
my
they're
gosh.
And then they're like celebrating his exoneration. Like,
What's even
it makes
worse
me
is
think
that-
that race relations aren't all that bad right now. It's just that they've always been terrible.
What's even one of the reasons Atheism Unstoppable's channel is one of the best around is he dives in deep to all these Innocent Project people.
Oh,
He
yeah.
does deep dives on all like the fake innocent
Yeah,
project
no,
stuff.
like I mean, his thing on Brock Turner, the Stanford swimmer.
Oh, yeah.
Like he deserves like a monument for that. Like
So
he was the only fucking person out there to have the guts to just actually look into that story and then say what happened. You know,
this
'cause that's
episode
like,
he did right.
If I ever met Brock Turner, I'd just say like, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
Like you, what happened to you is one of the most evil things that I ever saw in my life.
This episode
he
right
became
here,
a
Jared.
household name as a rapist.
This episode right
And
here.
also, and like also the judge, like because the whole big thing was that the judge gave him the minimum possible sentence because it was mandatory sentence, and like and then the judge lost his job for doing not even the right thing, because the whole trial was a miscarriage of justice, and then his hands were bound by a bunch of bad laws that were written by feminists to disrupt due process, you know. And like so like literally everything that people think they know about that story is the fucking the reverse of the truth. And that judge lost his career and his reputation. And Brock Turner was 22 and his life was fucking ruined forever. And then that she got $1 million book deal. She blew off her boyfriend. These are the facts. And this came out of the trial. What did that happen that night? Her boyfriend said, "What are you doing tonight?" She said, "I have to do homework." Then she got dressed, put on her makeup, and went to a fucking frat party where she got wasted, where she was witnessed by dozens of witnesses grinding on and making out with Brock Turner. And all the witnesses said that they were real into it. And then she said, "Let's go back to your place." And then on the way there, she passed out. And then a couple of fucking Swedes came along and saw a drunk girl and a guy and thought there was something wrong going on. And then they chased Brock Turner and he ran away. Now, they tried to turn this into, oh, he ran away because he was caught. No, he ran away because he saw two men aggressively coming toward them, right? And then this whole story about she got raped behind a dumpster. The dumpster was a total lie. Like they were on it, like it was like the President's Circle. They were on like a quad with trees. There was a dumpster like 50 yards away, and the journalist just picked up on that story, right? And then, like the assault, like the actual assault, he fingered her, and it was totally. I mean, we have no evidence whatsoever that it was not consensual because who brought the charges? It wasn't the girl. The girl's testimony, according to the trial, a public trial that was public, there's records, there's transcripts, anybody can look this up. Her testimony was, "I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. I was in a blackout. I don't remember." The person who made the accusation of rape was the nurse.
Oh, geez.
And her accusation was that she had pine cones on her bum because she passed out next to a pine tree.
Yeah. And there's all this stuff where there was witnesses that saw them dancing and making out earlier in the night.
Yeah.
She didn't want to be caught by her boyfriend.
Yeah, no, and like, and that's the whole thing is like, yeah, it's so obvious what happened. And then that thing is like, because our world is so twisted, Brock Turner, who had a promising future, his life is destroyed. A judge who did the right thing, his career was ended early and his reputation destroyed. And she gets $1 million for a book nobody bought. I guarantee, like, the publisher probably made their money back just because librarians bought that book, and then it sits on their shelves and nobody checks it out. And this is feminism. Like this is the justice of feminism.
Yeah.
This is what they're offering.
And I'll bring up this episode by Aiden Paladin once again. She was on Lotus Eaters just this week. But the 2% myth about the false rape allegations, which Julie Bindel just said those to Bogosian out of nowhere, like they were.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
they were true or some sort of
she
deal.
is.
But
She's so weird, Aiden Paladin, because she's like one of my top 10 favorite YouTubers, and she's like this insane monarchist.
yeah, well, she just buys into the Yarvin stuff.
Yes,
she's a monarchist.
Yeah. She's one of the
She
best
buys the
YouTubers out there.
Curtis Yarvin stuff. She's into the Mencius Moldbug stuff.
Whoa, weird.
No, it's wild because she didn't talk about it much in her videos. Like I listened
She's
to an
also
interview
not
with her.
American. Like,
I-
you know, like she
I-
like lives on like some island somewhere. And
I kind of feel like we should just have Troy and Forrest come on to the show and just have their discussion they're having in the comments live because I
the
want to
determinism discussion.
Yeah, yeah, guys.
Troy's
Guys,
trying to
hop
sell
on.
on
I'll,
compatibilism.
you guys just hijack.
Yeah, we could do a whole determinism episode. I feel like I need to stop and read the stuff. I saw a while back Seth Garrett was asking for somebody to debate him honestly on it, and
Yeah, I
nobody
don't know.
took him up. And
I mean, it's been a lot of years, and like, I mean, because I listened to years and years.
I've read through it too, and I don't care about it enough to keep it memorized.
I know that's the thing. I'm
exactly like
I'm even less interested in arguing determinism than I am in arguing like 2001 atheism shit.
Yeah, no, like it's like after listening to years and years of podcasts, like because Reasonable Doubts, the classic podcast, by the way, really good, long gone, but they were great.
I forgot about that one.
But they did a whole over years. They did a whole series on free will, and that's things like I got to the conclusion that like my opinion on the existence of free will is the exact same thing as my opinion on the existence of God. I don't know, and it doesn't matter.
I know it's
like that for me. The answer is doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter. Like if I accept one proposition or the other, nothing about my life changes.
Yeah.
This one you were just mentioning that you were shocked about people at the time, Jared, who thought OJ was innocent. Hate to break some
No,
stuff
not
to
that
you
they're
right here.
innocent. People that were excited that he was acquitted, even though they knew
Even though he was
wasn't
guilty. Yeah. Well, this is let's see, more conservative commercials. No, that's not too conservative. I mean, it's sort of looking. Neaters.
You
Oh,
got
got
your
Neaters twice.
You got your wrong tab up.
Good.
It's from
'Cause I was just showing you
Neaters.com,
like a
so
Neaters.
you can enjoy more
commercial
time
there.
creating lasting memories with those you
This
love.
is the conservative commercial. On
Well,
there.
here's the thing. I see
Let me see here. He's got the. Man, these don't.
I'm saying
61%. Regardless of the verdict, do you think that O.J. Simpson did or did not murder his ex-wife? 61%. I think that was like back in the time. Let's look at him. Hold on.
after his death, a question was asked, and this was sample size in America, and this is April 12th. Question: regardless of the verdict, do you think O.J. Simpson did or did not murder his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ron Goldman? What percentage of people responding to that question answered he did? He did do this. I'm saying he did do it. Okay. What percentage? What percentage, let me ask you, would make you feel comfortable? For me, it's 99. Like I'm willing to grant that 1% of humans out there are irreparably retarded or edgelords or whatever reason to hit the wrong button on a poll like this. But let me give you the answer. The percentage of people that said, yes, O.J. Simpson did commit these crimes in 2024, drum roll please, 61%. Let me get
That's
close
all?
to the microphone for
Yeah.
an instant replay of that.
But it gets even
The answer
worse.
is 61%. So if we are grading on an A through F scale, humanity got a D- on whether or not O.J. Simpson committed these crimes. It's not as if the evidence is not readily accessible for anyone who has any ability to Google anything. Now, it's not over. The insults continue. How about this one? What percentage of people said he did not? I'm saying he's innocent. Like, not legally. I'm saying the man did not commit these crimes. The answer? 11%. 11% of people polled said he didn't do it. And then, equally just jacked up and stupid, much like the I'm an agnostic crowd, 28% say, I'm not sure. Up.
So I think it.
He didn't do it. That's
Hold on.
like this. You're no longer white. Don't think he did it. Nah. Exactly. As you beanbags. What? 2024, April 12th. O.J. Simpson, are you guilty or innocent? Let me clear my throat. Black people who think he is guilty. After all the testimony, 9-month trial, civil trial, multiple documentaries done on this. Whew. 30% think he's guilty. I will repeat. I will get closer to the microphone. 30% of black human beings think this motherfucker, O.J. Simpson, didn't do it. Now, you should staple that little factoid, metaphorically, to that race, tie some anchors around it all, and chuck it in the Berkeley Marina. Bye-bye. sayonara. There's no coming back from that. You fucking suck. In other words, you monstrously ridiculous, backward, flamboyantly stupid assholes. The man is obviously a double murderer. Fucking obviously. Now, you apparently need that to be explained to you by a white straight male, and it's going to happen. So it's not a non-binary, it's not a mulatto, it's a 99% European man is about to explain to you why this guy is guilty, because apparently race matters. Clearly it does, based off these numbers. It gets worse. The percentage of bleeps who think that OJ didn't do it, they're saying he didn't do it, 26%. So it's almost neck and neck with the amount who say he did do it. It's a dead heat. And then we have 45% who, I'm not sure. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Those people should be, oh, shit, I don't want to be censored. Oh,
I guess pretty well.
I mean, but like, I mean, we're living in a world where, I mean, just what's the poll of people who think that Israel is trying to kill all the Arabs in the Middle East? Like, they really believe that that's the thing that's going on. That, like, Israel is currently engaged in a long-term goal to extirpate Arabs from the Middle East, which is, like, it's just, okay, again, like, we all have the internet. Like, we all have the same libraries. We all have, like, we all live on the same planet. How did you guys come to this conclusion? It's like, and the answer is because, they went to college and they got lied to. But yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. It's really amazing.
I want to point out how hilarious it is to me that the conservative alternative to YouTube is where you can hear language like that.
I know.
That's gotta just be, that's mind-boggling to me. Even me, like, I was in high school and they were still, like, the conservatives were still bitching about, and I still see it every now and then. Like, my cousin posted this thing about how she was mad at Taylor Swift because like 90% of her songs on her new album have the explicit warning next to it, and that used to be the norm. She's like weird now for posting that. It's conservatives like swear more at this point. Even it's really fucking weird. I'm watching like YouTube and people are saying stuff like effing.
Well, that guy we just saw who
was
the guy who was just complaining about the commies and their grifting, he was dropping F words everywhere.
Like, because conservatives understand the principle of free speech. Like, conservatives under that thing that if you are hearing things you don't like, that's a good sign because it means your society is free.
I mean, they understand it right now.
Well,
They
no,
understand
you're
it
right.
right now
like
because
we
they're the
said.
underdogs.
They'll swing back. Like, you're right. They'll swing back. Like, right now, like, the conservatives largely like prop up this idea that like the point of freedom of speech isn't that nobody says anything you don't like. In fact, it's the opposite. Like, that you are free. Like as long as people can say horrible things that you don't like, then your religion is safe. Like, and conservatives understand that now. But like you say, it only takes a little moment for them to swing back the other way.
Oh, Chris mentioned it last week. It's always the underdog that's the free speech champion. That's the only.
Yeah.
Atheism is Unstoppable is also a Democrat, which is always interesting.
Disgusting.
Still?
Yeah, he still would vote
does he actually
Biden and
vote?
Hillary. Yeah, he voted Hillary and said he would vote and voted Biden and would vote Biden again.
Whoa,
Well, then he can't call people retarded. Then
he also
Again,
calls
he
black
can't see how he
people.
justifies that.
He calls black people. He just calls them bleeps.
I know. I heard that.
But he always does that.
Well, I assumed that went back to like a million years ago when
that's referencing like bad. Yeah,
well, like
bad,
YouTube fucked with
bad censorship. You make it. Do you remember when Jimmy Kimmel? When one of the times Jimmy Kimmel was funny and he had like today in unnecessary censorship, and the way you could like make everything sound way worse by saying, you just put in the bleeps and all that sort of stuff in there. You can make it sound like people are saying terrible, horrible, sweary things and stuff like that. How do I know this? How do I know what?
I think they're still talking about free will.
No, Forrest was asking me, how do I know something about he lost all respect. How do I know that he's a Biden voter? Because I listen to all this stuff. I'm a Patreon of a patron. I only pay 2 people, and one of the persons was Atheism is Unstoppable. I paid James Lindsay and Atheism is Unstoppable on like a Patreon type thing.
Whoa.
Yeah. So.
What
Oh,
are
I
you
don't know
funding
that he
those
would
people?
again, but he did. He voted Biden last time. But usually, if he goes on some podcast and gets pressed on it, he just says, just kind of in general, like, yeah, and he's just kind of like humdy hose about it. Yeah, what are you gonna do? I don't like Trump. Vote these guys. Is usually what he does and says. But
I mean, okay.
which is funny because he was on Gavin McInnes's what was it called, Unregistered or something like that for a long time.
Unregistered.
Yeah, but you had to pay to get on Gavin McInnes's thing, which Kara always like shows off her bona fides by saying, "I used to listen to Gavin McInnes." But
How often did Gavin McInnes ever post? Like it.
He says, "Wow, I support this commie." No, Atheism Unstoppable is not any sort of commie. There's nobody who. The reason I supported him, I mean, these OJ videos are interesting, but his best stuff is his deep dives into the Innocence projects, like all
Absolutely.
actual Justice Warrior uses him for
No,
his research on the Innocence Project stuff.
Like I when what's her name? Ken Burns' daughter. I'm such a misogynist, I can't remember. I remember Ken's name, but not his daughter's name. When Ken Burns' daughter made no, not even his daughter, it was Ken Burns. It was Ken Burns. When he did, I don't remember, one of those Burnses, they did that documentary about the Central Park Five. And Doug Fabrizio.
He has a great documentary on the Central Park Five too.
Yeah, exactly.
His Atheism Unstoppable Central Park 5 stuff's amazing.
So I went and saw the Ken Burns documentary about the Central Park 5. I saw it at Rose Wagner, and it was like the special thing with the director. I can't remember if it was Ken or the daughter. My memory is that bad. But like I watched the whole thing, and like this was before I knew anything about it. And I came out of that going, my God, this is a clear example of racist policing and railroading these kids, blah, blah, blah. And I just fucking like, because it was convincing to me. And also like Ken Burns. Like, who's more reliable than Ken Burns? And then I watched the Devin Tracy thing. And like his whole thing is like, you guys know that like the like there anybody can go right now and watch all 28 hours or whatever it is of the interrogation videos. Like, and that's all you have to do. Just watching those, and you realize, like, oh, that Burns documentary fucking lied. They just straight up lied.
And not only that, like his daughter had like financial interest in
yeah,
as
like
a
no, yeah,
lawyer
like
for the-
like no, like those the Central Park Five are guilty as fuck. Now here's the thing, like if you want to make a case about how they were teenagers and that they deserve leniency or any of that stuff, like you're pushing an open door with me. Like if you just want to approach this as like a criminal justice reform, is this the best thing? That's the conversation I want to have all day. But the idea that those kids were innocent and they were railroaded by police that were racist, it's not just wrong. That is an evil propagandistic lie designed to gin up racial tension.
Yeah, he also did some pretty deep dives into Emmett Till and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Like that thing is like I thought I did all the reading on Emmett Till that I needed to before, and I didn't even know until I learned from Devin Tracy 2 of Emmett Till's murderers were black guys. Like, because I knew more about Emmett Till than the average person just because I read the entire Wikipedia article. It was like 10 years ago. I spent like 4 weeks just dumping. I read everything Wikipedia had to say about lynching in America, and I learned so many things. But I didn't know that 2 of Emmett Till's murderers were black, which is a thing you don't hear.
Here's just a couple of episodes, but they're just the ones that say Central Park 5 in the title. But he's got a bunch of different, and there's a longer kind of extended series. I think these are part of them, of the Central Park 5 and the details on them, and a lot of that melted my mind. And but he keeps up on it. Yeah, Devin Tracy's name, Atheist Rue. He got kicked off of YouTube for these Central 5 videos. And
oh, did he?
Yeah. So then he had to go to he had to go to Gavin McInnes's channel for a while, that's one of the ways that stuff came out, because there'd be discussions about it with him and Gavin McInnes about how they vote differently. So I don't know if
Risto says he'd never vote for Trump. Who are you voting for, Risto? Or are you abstaining? That's what I'm curious about. Anyway, go on.
Are you one of those dirty abstainers? Those dirty
We're
rotten
gonna vote.
abstainers?
I saw at the gym tonight on the treadmill, I was watching like Fox 13, and they were going around asking people on the street if they knew who RFK was in Salt Lake City. And nobody knew who RFK was. They didn't know who he was. They didn't know any of the pictures.
They kind of try to push him out.
Well, and what's funny is
I believe him that those guys had no clue who he was, though.
I think the average normie wouldn't know what he is, but like conversely, like my brother a few weeks ago, talking to him about this shit, and like he tried to bring up the conservatives are banning books, right? And it's funny because like my brother's a librarian. I know he goddamn well knows the difference between censorship, banning, and pornography laws. I know he knows that difference, but he does the hatchling thing. But so I'm like, did you see that? Did you not see that clip of Senator Kennedy reading from these books? And he thought I was talking. He's like, "Oh, that nutcase." I'm like, and he just assumed I was talking about.
He thought you were talking about RFK.
And I'm like, no, Senator John Kennedy, former Democrat. John Kennedy, the senator from Louisiana.
Yeah, but he thought you were talking about RFK.
He thought I was talking about RFK because, his leftist program.
Had a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, he had the knee-jerk reaction. It's like, oh, you're talking about that crazy guy. Like, no. I'm talking about a senator who opened up the book and read it into the record of the Senate. Like, but I mean, I never even got that far with him because he just dismissed it as like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Like you follow that RFK guy, but like it's just that simple. But man, just on a total aside, John Kennedy, like politics, schmolitics, like
he's putting on fire, huh?
Oh yeah, but I mean, just putting aside everything, like putting aside all the political stuff, I just love listening to him talk. He's like, I know. He's like if I was casting a movie about like I need a Southern senator, like I need one of those guys, like. He's that guy.
What's the name of that rooster in Looney Tunes? The
Foghorn
Leghorn.
Foghorn
Things
Leghorn.
Like Savannah. That guy is Savannah. That guy is Savannah, Georgia. And I was doing the Savannah because I can't do the John Kennedy, Louisiana accent. But yeah, no, he just cracks me up. He's like something out of he's like a trope of the Southern senator. I'm like, let me ask you something, friend. Just that whole thing.
But I think Lindsey Graham kind of tries to pull that off a little bit too.
He's not good at it though. No, he
sounds too dainty. Well, they call him. What was the term they used to use for? There's a term they used to use for those types of guys. No, a Southern guy who just like was a bit too close to his mother. Type. A dandy.
A dandy.
RFK threw down a challenge to Biden and Trump because he released these polls recently that like if the election happened today and it were just Biden and Trump, then Trump would win. If it were just RFK and Trump, RFK would win. If it were just RFK and Biden, RFK would win. That's the polls they released. Obviously, I didn't look into them, so I don't know. Like, obviously, it's his campaign, so it could be bullshit. But he did throw down the gauntlet, challenging Biden to, like, if in October, right before the election happens, the polls still say the same thing. Like, if they say that you would beat Trump in a one-man race or a two-man race, then I'll drop out. And if they say that I would beat him, then you'll drop out. But it's obviously not going to happen.
I forgot this. The Lotus Eaters mentioned BYU this week because there was some study that came out that said leftists are 3 times more likely to like unfriend their friends.
I'll be right back.
All right. Anyway, on to some of the studies. So this was recently picked up a couple of days ago.
There's the Aiden Paladin, right? That's it. You don't usually see her face on her channel.
This is a study that I think came out of Mormon University in Utah. I can't.
BYU.
BYU, that's the one.
Mhm.
I can never remember all the
Yeah.
acronyms and things like that. But apparently, liberals are 3 times more biased than conservatives when evaluating ideologically opposite individuals. And this is obviously something that I think lots of people have identified without research. But the research is interesting because, of course, being able to quantify it and understand the scale of the problem is very important. Because quite often I see people saying, well, why do I need a study to vindicate what I already know? Well, actually,
Yeah.
scaling is very important in understanding the nature of the issue. You know, it could be 10 times, it could be 2 times. It makes a big difference.
Sure, and it helps to just have any evidence for it in general.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, I mean, sure, some things are known just because you can observe them, but you need to be able to quantify them so that you can show other people, and particularly when the party of science, the left, says that they want evidence for everything. That's the case until they don't like the actual evidence. It seems, or at least that's been my experience, as they seem to be a little bit upset about this first one.
Yes, and we are going to be looking at some of the reactions, which just prove the actual study, which is funny. And they even acknowledge, well, I know it kind of proves what they're saying, but still I'm angry, which is hilarious. So this was actually published in the Journal of Social Psychology, which, despite having some replicability problems, is still a relatively prestigious psychological journal. I'm slurring my words. I've not even had a drink today. I'm going to read a little bit from this. And it says, the researchers conducted a study in which they explored how political memes published on social media affect a perceiver's impression of the person who shared them. They also wanted to determine the degree to which the person viewing the memes would indirectly aggress against the person who posted them based on assumptions about the political views of that person. And it says the conservative and liberal memes.
I don't know. Can you trust the study coming out of BYU? Which one of the things they point out is that all the people start saying you can't trust the study out of BYU, which actually kind of proves the study is what they were talking about. But is everybody gone? I don't even know.
What? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm not done.
I was saying the people got upset that the studies came out of BYU, and they said this can't be true because it comes out of BYU. But that kind of proved the study that they said that they hate people who are ideological differences. But at the same time, too, I'm one to doubt all sorts of studies that I see coming out there nowadays as well. But can you study this? Can you trust this study coming out of BYU?
I mean, I really struggle because, like, I love science. I love the idea of science. And I used to love social studies and social science. And I'd be like, oh, wow, look at all this great stuff. And then I just keep finding out, like, oh, it's all crap. It's all crap. It's all crap. You know,
there was another major one this week just right out of the University of Utah. Did you know that?
Oh, because like the one I know that like people have been talking about was
was
it Harvard, Yale, or whatever?
The Harvard lady,
yeah. Because like, and now I remember 10 years ago, like when that came out, I remember the Skeptics Guide to the Universe people talking about that and saying, "Oh gosh, this is really interesting." Now, like now they always hedged it and said like, "Okay, this is one study, replication, all this stuff," but still, like they're like, "Hey, look at this neat thing." Turned out it was 100% fabricated.
Yeah. Here's one that came out of the University of Utah. Researcher faked data for years, according to investigators. Federal court found.
What kind of research?
Visionary manipulated results and fake data in research for years, according to the findings of federal investigation. The report on misconduct from U.S. Office of Research Integrity used 43 fabricated numbers across several scientific presentations, a handful of grant applications, peer-reviewed journal. Cell using that fake data, he was awarded more than $1 million in federal funding. Well, that's why they do it. There's incentives, people. What's the stuff on? Neuroscience. It's neuroscience stuff.
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of amazing. Like, I mean, I guess it's not that surprising considering that we're basically in the like leeches phase of our understanding of the human brain and psychology, but like how much of the fraud is social science brain stuff? It's like it all seems to be coming out of that same just that neurology stuff. Come to think of it, Sam Harris, he's a neurologist.
Yeah.
And look at the dumb stuff he talks about.
So here's one, a transgender boxer, only this one is the other direction. Female to male, dared to get into the ring.
Yeah, that.
You want to see what happened? Do you have any guesses what happened?
I mean, I watched this, but I don't need to guess.
Transgender boxer ever got knocked out last night, my people. Patricio Manuel, born Patricia Manuel, was knocked out last night, man. How do y'all feel about this? He's transgender. He was born a female, turned male. You know what I'm saying? Now he fights males in the ring.
21 seconds. Anyway, do you want a lesson on Nordic countries? Are you there, Flip, or are you in the comment section? Can you hear? Or are you typing?
I can't hear it.
Oh, I'm not playing anything. Are you typing in the comment section, or?
No, I'm fucking around on video games.
Oh, gotcha. We can wind
anymore.
down. We're hitting the 3-hour mark. We can wrap it all
yeah.
up. Here's a video on Nordic stuff, just in line with like our country stuff and language things. Here you go.
Nordic 101. This is Norway, full of oil money, brown cheese, summer houses, and ski walkers. We like Norway. This is Finland, full of happy peoples, swamps, licorice, and computer nerds. We like Finland. This is Faroe Islands. This is Greenland. No snow. Everything is perfect. Come visit. We like Green. This is Sweden, full of second loans, IKEA, bureaucracy, and video game companies. We tolerate Sweden. This is Holland, full of red roads. This is Iceland, full of sheep, volcanoes, old silly languages, and badly run banks. We ignore Iceland. This is Denmark. We don't like Denmark. And now you know.
And now you know. I love the stuff like that's on the internet as much as the internet's destroyed everything. So
Holland. Is that it's its own place?
Yeah.
An autonomous and demilitarized region of Finland. Receiving its autonomy by 1920 decision of the League of Nations, it is the smallest region of Finland by both area and population. Its only official language is Swedish, and the capital city is... Wow, it's just this one little weird place.
Risto's mad that didn't mention sauna and that stuff.
Åland. Autonomous and demilitarized. Like, so if I just show up there with a gun, I can take over? Or even just a stick with a nail coming out of it?
Oh no!
I'm guessing
You have strongest weapon here. What are we going to do now?
I just show up with a bear on a leash.
I have a video of the most frustrating thing in history. Here we go. This guy is translating a video in a different language, and he's showing how men and women work very well together.
Episode of women think they're right and men are complete and total idiots. We got a couple Spanish people moving bottles around till they can get them right.
So they can't see the bottles, and they're supposed to listen to that guy. He says 1 is right, 2 is right, 0 is right, 1 is right, 2 is right. 2 are right. He's right.
But I do know that he just keeps going. This goes like this, and this goes like this, and she's like, "You're an idiot."
Wait a minute, he changed one thing and they got 2 right after that, and she's like, no.
She says, leave the fuchsia there. It's right. 0 right. She goes, look, you don't know. 0 right. He says, the red one's right. The red one's right. She says, no. She moves it.
is so spot on. Continuously changes the one that's correct. Continuously.
0 right. So he knows that's right now.
Then is immediately angry when he gets it right.
The blue is right.
Yeah, you.
No,
You're
she
an
grabs it.
Are you? You're never supposed to hit women. I know that.
Like, there's one of those things where, like, yeah, I don't know.
She's just like, there's no.
It's one
This
of
is
those
how it's
linear
been with
things.
men or
Things
women
that
through
get-
the centuries. This is what it's been. The way.
All right, I got this right.
Tres acierto. No, tres acierto.
Is this fake?
It's real.
Yeah, this
Jesus Christ! He changed two of them around, and they got more. They got 3
I don't know,
right.
like-
they went from
like,
one
this
right.
reminds me
No,
of
but
them.
like think of the math in your head. They're at 1 right. He changes 2 of them. Now they're at 3 right. There's no math.
So he
that
knows
can-
red's right there.
You know that they're both right. That you check.
I don't even know what she's saying. She just keeps shaking the 2 wrong ones and saying, Rojo,
She's
which
sure
is
the
right?
fuchsia
This
one's
is
right.
It's right.
She's just randoming.
All wrong.
She's randomizing it. She's
It just brings me back to like 20 something years ago when I was with my ex-wife, and like, because it was Friday night, it was like 7 o'clock, and it was 2003 or 2002, and like, she had a check that she wanted to cash, and I'm like, well, there's nothing we can do until Monday. The bank's closed, you know. And she's like, what do you mean? It's like, you know, like, I remember just telling her, like, well, no, like, it's Friday night. Like, the bank's closed. And she just went, well, I guess you know everything. I was like, I know that the small Midwestern community, whatever it is,
he knows
credit
what it
union-
is.
That's his
He knows it's still. She's fighting him. And finishing it
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Why is she? Wait, they have like unlimited tries. Why is she stopping him from just placing them?
I gotta do it. I'm right.
So I'm staying at this hotel tonight.
But like, no, like, it's just that, like, just remember that things like, you know, I guess you know everything. Like, I don't know everything, but I know that the bank is closed. This is the thing I know.
At night?
I know that the bank is closed. I know that small Midwestern credit unions are closed at 7 o'clock on Fridays in 2002. That's a thing I know.
Jesus Christ.
I know that. I knew that one would be triggering for everybody. We've all been through that.
I don't know. Someday I just want to, for the podcast listeners, as a teaser.
All right.
Chris needs to tell the story about how he caused the 2008 housing bubble.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry
did
guys.
He did that. It was his fault.
I blew up the national economy because I warned my ex-wife that was about to happen, and then when it happened, it wasn't a thank you. It was, why did you do this? Yeah.
I just love that story. It's like, just the way that, like, just the way he told it, it's like, I just want the dogs.
Yeah.
Have everything. Like, take everything. Just the dogs. She's like, no!
And
And
she
you're like,
took
"No."
everything in the dogs.
Took everything with the dogs, and then blamed you when you tried to stop her from losing everything.
But that toxic masculinity, guys, you know how it goes. So
She's safer around a bear. A bear would never cause the housing market to collapse on her.
For sure. We're hitting the 3-hour mark, so we got to end with the question: what would you rather? Would you rather be locked in a cage with a hungry lion, or an ex-wife? Who was it we used to say had like ex-wife energy? Ocasio-Cortez or somebody was like she's like your ex-wife, her or somebody else. But what is it? What do you choose?
Ex-wife?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, like, is the lion very old and has no teeth? Like, can we add qualifiers? Like, is the lion
want to accuse
civilized?
me? The lion want to accuse me of raping it.
Yeah, lions can't perjure themselves in divorce proceedings. That's the thing lions can't do.
Then you remember when I think it's in Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison, and Norm Macdonald asks Billy who would he rather sleep with, a young Jack Nicholson or somebody else. One of the best things in that whole movie is when he chooses the girl instead of Jack Nicholson is just Norm Macdonald's face of like, what? Billy Madison, who would you rather? And I was trying to make that face when who would you rather bone is what he says. Here, we'll end on it here. Norm Macdonald's face being shocked. Hopefully it's a part of the clip, and we'll probably get canceled just for sharing this.
Hey, Billy, who would you rather bone? Meg Ryan or Jack Nicholson? Jack Nicholson.
He chose Meg Ryan, my childhood crush, until she messed up her face with like all the.
And now or 1974? 74.
Why the show?
Meg Ryan.
That's what Norm Macdonald thinks of my childhood crush, but what's he gonna say about your childhood crush, Jared?
My
Elliot.
childhood crush is a man.
Yeah. His face. That's so good. All right. I got nothing else. 3 hours. On to work.
Nothing. Well, it's a dumb thing. We talked about Fallout. It was okay.
Did I show you my shirt?
What is
I
it?
saw that.
Oh, you have a Caucasian shirt?
Yeah, I do.
I saw the pink skins. I saw a version of that just said pink skins.
I wonder, do they even sell like the basic like Washington football team shirt anymore? I wanted
don't
one of
know.
those too.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
for like a year it was just like Washington football team.
Yeah, like I wonder, like now I wonder, like, is Redskins branded stuff like the value of it on the
Oh, I
collector's market
bet it is.
skyrocket?
I bet it is.
Or is it like Nazi memorabilia where it's all like an underground market now, where it's like
So
like, there's a website that sells like China with swastikas and Washington Redskins jerseys. It's
my
all
same,
one like
lefty friend at work, who the one that was watching Dan McClellan, he told me the other day about, he's talking about the Washington Redskins, and he's a fan, that's his team, and he's like,
Whoa.
it wasn't it wasn't woke stuff that got them away from the Redskins name, right? And I was like, what was it? And he's like, it was money. And I was like, yeah, it was both. Those aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it was because their sponsors threatened to pull out. And I was like, and why did their sponsors threaten to pull out?
No, he believes, like, this is a guy who believes that the only reason that little girls like to play with dolls is because Mattel tells them to.
Yeah.
No,
that's
we had that argument before. We actually had this big argument about I don't know, we talked about strip clubs, and I was like, I don't like strip clubs. And he's like, why? And I was like, well, they're just kind of gross. And you have to imagine that every woman there is either emotionally damaged or really doesn't want to be there. Like, most women just really don't want to be strippers and prostitutes. And he was like, well, yeah, but that's because of social conditioning. I was like, no, it isn't.
Yeah.
And we got into this big argument, and it comes down to the same thing all these arguments come down to, is nature versus nurture. And I was trying to explain, like, no, that women have a less promiscuous nature because they have to, because the cost of promiscuity to them is so much higher. And he's like, well, in ancient times, yeah, but like we beat that. Like, okay, Mr. Atheist evolution guy here, you think that like 60 years of the birth control pill can fucking undo millions of years of evolution? Okay.
No,
There's old Redskins helmets for $600.
Wow.
Should've
Oh,
bought
there
some
you
of
go.
those.
Like, I don't know, because like I know it'll never happen, but like, wouldn't it be just nice if like in a couple of years they're like, hey, you know what? We're not even going to make a big deal out of it. We're just going to be the Redskins again. Like, well, but also, like, didn't that tribe?
They're still suing.
So that's still going.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. I fucking love that. Because, like, you'd think they're like, okay, let's listen to the voices of the indigenous people. The indigenous people are like, we loved that the Redskins immortalized our ethnic national hero the way they did, and we don't like that a bunch of communists made them stop.
Don't worry, natives. we got your back. Like, wait a minute. I thought representation was important, you fucks.
No, like it's like this thing. I mean, like the samba group I play in, like it's run by two Americans that I don't even know the story exactly, but 25 years ago they learned about samba, became obsessed with it, and literally devoted their lives to it and have made an entire career. Like they have a nonprofit school that it teaches samba music and culture. And I couldn't be happier. I could not be happier that two Americans decided to appropriate the ever-living fuck out of my culture. God bless them. Please carry the flame forward.
Young Brazilians aren't appropriating it, so
Exactly.
someone's
No, that's part of the problem. Is like samba is dying. Even that's things like just yesterday I was telling a bunch of hippies. I went to visit my friend's house, and they're the mushroom Mormon type people. And I was telling about how like in West Africa, like in Nigeria and the Yoruba people, like they have the pantheon of gods, the Orishas, they're all the gods. And every god has a rhythm. And all Africans know all the rhythms. You just say, we're playing this god, and they know the rhythm, And then this stuff carried on through samba, and it's all this beautiful stuff. And it's like this way to keep this stuff alive and introduce it to other people. Now, like, if I'm just a social studies professor, average person, I need to show up and start screaming about how dare you appropriate that culture. Like, meanwhile, these people are keeping this flame alive that otherwise nobody would even know or care about.
Oh my God. Aaron Raw was on Jesse Lee Peterson. I have to watch that.
Well, that's one of the things.
What? Aaron Raw and Jesse Peterson?
I love watching Jesse Peterson because he cannot be a real person.
Yeah, no, like, cause like a lot of stuff he says, I'm like, okay, like you're like, I get where he's going with a lot of stuff. But like there's some things where I'm like, okay, you are kind of contradicting yourself there, Jesse. But I still appreciate his message. I love the way he trolls the ever living fuck.
He is an expert. He's the best troll of all time, like Sam Hyde level troll. And God,
well, I mean, I think he's more sincere than Sam Hyde, but
probably. But he's basically a real life Uncle Ruckus.
Yeah, no, that's great though. Well, no, but like the fact that I'm delighted. Like I love that people like him are out there just to lay it out there to say like, hey, no, like because he's the guy who said like, look, I was alive in Jim Crow, and we had families. Like we worked, like we didn't ask for help. We didn't need all this stuff. Whoa.
So this is Devin Tracy's dad. Atheism is Unstoppable's dad, Andrew Tracy.
Oh, he died?
He's an ethnomusicologist of African music. And one of the things that he did as a white man, South African, a terrible colonizer, is catalog the living crap.
Is the kalimba African? I guess it sounds African. I should have known that.
No, it is.
Yeah, and he cataloged and recorded the crap out of a bunch of different people who you would not have cataloged or recorded if it weren't for him. And guess who they consulted when they went and made the Black Panther movie on it? They went and consulted this guy because he had all these ancient recordings of like different beats and African musical stuff.
Kalimbas are awesome. I got one, and my kid plays it every day.
Yeah, and so he not only did he store a bunch of that stuff, he recorded a bunch of people who you wouldn't have recorded anywhere, and even those are on like bad recordings. He had like a whole interview with his dad on one of his episodes way back. So, like,
has Paul Simon been canceled for Graceland? Remember in the mid '80s?
Oh yeah, that's for AIDS or something like that, wasn't it?
But like, because the whole album Graceland, like, part of what made it such a monumental record was that this little nebbishy Jewish guy, I assume, from New York, became obsessed with African sound, and Graceland is dripping with African beats, and because also like when I was a kid, I hated it. Now I hate it less now, but that active fretless bass pickup sound. That is all over Graceland. I appreciate it now. I used to hate it when I was a kid, Like all that stuff comes right out of Africa, and so is Paul Simon okay? What, like I remember, like is.
Well, I
when
know
will
he
be
like gave
getting
most of that money to like AIDS research and stuff. And I once heard that all those like black guys who did that concert with him, like every one of them is dead today. A bunch of them died of AIDS.
I don't mean the cancer. I just mean the album Graceland, because the album, like, he was absolutely. Wait, Paul Simon was married to Carrie Fisher?
Yeah, I knew that
How
one.
did I not know this? I just learned this. But yeah, like the whole like Graceland was basically like, hey, I like African music. I'm gonna hire a bunch of Africans and have them back me on this album. So he appropriated the shit out of that, and it was one of the most popular records of the '80s.
Paul
I
Simon,
remember.
who inspired me to buy a bass.
Really?
Just that tiny little bass solo he has in "Call Me Al" was
All right, he
fucking
is a
great.
Jew. I wasn't
That's
making
the
that.
one
Paul
with
Simon is Jewish.
that's the music video with Chevy Chase, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a great music video. They toss him that bass and he just fucking shreds it for just 3 seconds, and it's just the perfect little solo.
That's crazy. That's a good
How
song.
did I not know that Paul Simon was married to Carrie Fisher? That is so nuts.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
I had heard that one. Didn't he marry some other famous lady too?
Oh, they were married for like a year only. Interesting. She was a famous nutcase.
Carrie
Yeah.
Fisher.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
she was an open nutcase. Yeah, she
No,
said she was like completely
that's that great
bipolar or something like that.
I think it's on YouTube, but Stephen Fry did like a little multi-part series called "The Secret Lives of Manic Depressives."
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, no, and that was the truth. Like he opens
that's
it
a
up by
good episode.
yeah, like because he opens it up by talking about like he's walking to a garage in London. He's like, I tried to kill myself here, and I saw that, and I'm like, because like since I was young, Stephen Fry was one of my absolute heroes. Like, who has a more enviable life and career than Stephen Fry? And then to find out that like the guy tried to kill himself, like that was a trip for me. That was crazy. I'm like, really? You're sad? But that's how that goes.
I think all of the people that I idolize either tried to kill themselves or really thought about it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Yeah, just that. Like
He
you think,
married Edie Brickell. That's the other famous one that he was.
oh, things we learn on the internet.
Yeah.
Alrighty, did we do the thing?
I think it was done well enough.
We're not as good as Jonathan Streeter and Troy Levitt, but we do okay.
Well, they're educational. They're part of the PBS channel.
Yeah, they had
We're just-
education.
We're just dickheads talking shit, and sometimes I can get the stuff loaded up a bit better, but it all depends on how busy I am at work on a given day, and I was way too busy today to really line stuff up well.
But I'm mad at Troy because I watched Fallout and it gave me a boner to play old classic Fallout, so I started playing Fallout New Vegas again, and it's fucking buggy as hell. It keeps crashing. Like, is that one of yours, Troy?
What year is it? What console and year is it?
It's PS3, Xbox 360. It's 2012.
He knows.
Man. That's so crazy how much
I'm running it
how
on.
much has gone by just since then.
I actually have been playing through New Vegas. I was playing it during this stream, but it crashed like 20 minutes ago. And
is it worth playing?
It's great.
I mean,
it's everybody's favorite game out of the Fallout series, and I
it's
haven't.
the best written. It has the best writing of any Fallout game.
Is it actually Vegas, like Vegas?
Yeah.
Terrain.
I mean, roughly, yeah. No, and there's a whole DLC that where you
I'd
go
be
to
interested in
Utah
that.
and you deal with Mormon
Lived in
polygamists.
Vegas.
There's a whole thing where you go to Mormon Utah and deal with polygamists.
So
Like, it's
I
a
haven't
DLC.
played 1 or 2. I've played 3, 4, and I'm playing New Vegas right now.
Aren't 1 or 2 like complete different style games?
Oh yeah.
Kind of
No,
like-
they're 90s. They're ISO not
yeah,
isometric.
yeah,
They're like the-
isometric. I saw a video of it.
yeah, they're different. But I don't know. They're classic. When they go on sale again, like 2 times a year, they go on sale on Steam. The next time the classics go on sale, I'll grab them.
But wasn't like Fallout 4 like panned, like it went downhill on some.
Yes and no. 76 is the one
76
that
is dog
made
shit.
every. Yeah, 76 is the one where everybody got really, really mad. But that also was a diversion in that it was a multiplayer game, and everybody hated that too. But there's 10 million things wrong with it. 4 like, because 4 was a huge step forward in gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, as far as an FPS, it was the best one. And obviously, graphics and stuff like that. And it was also the least buggy. It's the one that's least likely to crash.
Crash is the least.
The
for sure.
writing on that one was not as good. I think that's where a lot of people got annoyed.
So
with the writing
there's a
not as
part
good.
of it that that's supposed to be like this big twist that you see like immediately, like you see it coming like right away, the twist in 4. But I enjoyed 4.
Yeah, like no, that's the thing, like 4 is one of those things where it's like when people talk about all the things they don't like about it, I go, yup. But did I play that game for hundreds and hundreds of hours? Yup.
Oh yeah, I played a lot of Fallout 4.
Yeah, like Fallout 4, I'm just totally like when people are like, that game is shit. I'm like,
3 had
you have a point. You have a total point, and I love it.
3 had 3 had Liam Neeson in it.
Oh yeah, 3 did
He
have
was your
Liam
dad.
Neeson. Like there's a whole thing where like there's a lot of kind of just senseless fetch quests, a lot of back and forth,
there's
a lot of
fetch quests,
running.
but that's all of them. But
Yeah, I guess.
one of the big things that people didn't like about 4 was the change in the dialogue, right? Like if you've ever played have you ever played an Elder Scrolls game,
I
Chris?
watched Flip play.
Okay,
it.
so in Fallout, it's basically that, and the dialogues are basically that. You click on what you say, and then they respond to that. In Fallout 4, instead of doing that, they give you options. They give you 4 options, and it's like sarcastic, angry, style, happy, and it doesn't
That
show
sounds
what
annoying.
dialogue you're actually gonna say, and then your guy actually says it, like he speaks words.
Oh
actually.
yeah, that is a thing that's
And
weird.
that kind of throws people off a little bit. But also you don't know exactly what he's going to say. So it could be like sarcastic. You click sarcastic because you think he's going to say something funny and endearing, but then he's a huge dick.
Yeah,
it ruins what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that is a problem. It's like with LA Noire. That was the thing I hated about LA Noire. Was like because the whole thing was like, hey, you interrogate the people. And my experience with that game was that like it was so counterintuitive. Like you'd think like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and like the guy would do something like you'd say, oh, I want to take this route, like just as you're saying, sarcastic, whatever, and the character would do something completely different than you wanted. You're like, well, that's not at all what I meant. Like LA Noire was terrible with that. That game was
heard that.
garbage.
I
No,
never
LA
played
Noire.
it. That's the one that's press F to doubt, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, LA Noire, like that game had so much potential and was such a fucking turd. It was so bad. Anyway, what's a good game? Global Conquest, 1992, still one of the best games ever. You can play it for free on the internet. It's free on the internet now. Still better than so many other games. Oh, here's the other thing about Global Conquest, though, because 1992, I bought that game and I loved it. And it was one of my favorite games ever. It still is. And it was developed by a single developer called Dan Bunton, who ended up transitioning. And Dan Bunton was one of the first people who I ever knew who transitioned to female, and was one of the first trans people I ever knew to have committed suicide tragically. Hey, oh, Troy, am I speaking your language? Do you know that game? Are you the only other guy who knows what I'm talking about? Still one of the best designed games in history.
Dude,
procedural generation.
Do either of you have
one of the earliest RTS? Like it's a predecessor of RTS. One of the best things ever.
Do either of you have VR?
No,
I don't.
Okay. I don't play it very often.
I'm told that what is that? No Man's Sky is worthwhile with VR, but I haven't found that out
With
yet.
VR? So I've heard that No Man's Sky is a lot better now that they updated it. But I haven't tried it. I was super hyped on No Man's Sky when it came out, and it was one of those games I played for like 30 minutes, and I was like, this game sucks, and I gave it to my brother.
I got it last year because it was cheap, and I played a lot of it, and then I got bored of it.
No, I heard it got a lot better, but no, in VR, one of my favorite games is Super Hot, and it's like this. I've never had like an autistic fixation on a game quite like this one, or at least not in a long time. It's fun as hell. It's like these weird polygon animation, and it's basically time doesn't move if you don't move, and as soon as you move, time and guys are shooting at you, and you have to like block their bullets and try to dodge their bullets, and so like the faster you move, the faster time moves. It's fun as hell. I can play that game for hours until my fucking
That does
head
sound good.
But wait.
I had a friend
if you're in
who came
VR,
to
like,
my-
what do? Are you moving around your room?
Basic. So you have to set up like it's pretty easy to set up if you get like the Quest 2. I have the Quest 2. They have the Quest 3 out now. I don't know the difference, but you have to set up your little play area and you move around a little bit. Most games you can either move with the control stick or you can like press you can press the control stick and then it shows where your character is going to teleport to. But in this one, Super Hot, you don't move at all. Like your character doesn't move. You have to move like to dodge bullets and shit like that.
Huh.
But that's one of the funnest. Drunken Bar Fight is the whole reason I bought a VR headset because that's all it is. You drink, and the more you drink, the bigger you get, and you just beat the shit out of people.
You get bigger for drinking.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite games ever, and you could just take your day out on a bunch of virtual guys. It's
I
amazing.
remember like many years ago. It was years after Skyrim came out, but many years ago, and I introduced Skyrim to my friend because he had a PlayStation, and he's like, "Oh, this game." I'm like, "Have you ever played Skyrim?" He's like, "What is it?" And I told him about it, and he got it, and it's just hilarious because he talked about playing Skyrim as he would say, "I have to go to the office." He's like, "It's just a job. Like it's just like my job, except that it's my video game." And for a whole year, I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm at the office," and that meant he was playing Skyrim.
I shamelessly love Skyrim.
It's like again, like all of the criticisms of it are 100% valid, and still that game is classic.
I have Untitled Goose Game. Risto mentioned. I've played that Goose Game. That's pretty funny. Have you seen that?
I've seen it. I didn't bother to get it yet.
It's a pretty funny idea. The whole concept. You're just a goose being a dickhead. That's it.
No, so that's one of the best parts of a Switch is the indie games that you can get on.
Yeah, that's an indie game, and it was a real famous one like 4 or 5 years back. But you're just supposed to be a dick. That's all it is. Set to Debussy music. Yeah.
There's some really good indie games. I'm trying to think of. I thought I had one in my head, but I can't remember it. I've heard good things about Cuphead.
Oh, I love Cuphead, but it's kind of just Contra, but just beautifully drawn.
Yeah,
like hand drawn. Hard as crap too, but it just looks awesome. It's got that old timey like Disney Mickey Mouse stuff.
No,
I couldn't beat it yet though. Like I can only get to like a few of the last boards. Kentucky Route Zero. What is that?
That's every now and then. Me and Morgan try to do a couch co-op game, and
you had that one you liked.
The last one we did was It Takes Two, which I've talked about on here before. It was a wild experience. It's like two parents who are on the verge of divorce. They get transformed into like these little dolls, and they have to like work together to get out of it. And the whole message of this story is that they work out their marriage. And I was like, how is this made in, I think it was 2019, 2020, something like that. Oh,
look up that Kentucky Route Zero one.
Asking about, if you're asking about It Takes Two for us, yeah, it's totally worth it. That's one of my favorite experiences, especially if you play it with a wife.
That would be an interesting one. Maybe I'll play it by myself with like a Forever Alone picture next to me on the couch.
No, actually you need a second player. Like you can't do it without a second player.
Troy met Danny Bunton. Like this is amazing. Like this is such a trip for me because I'm the only person I ever knew in my whole life that knew and loved that game, and then went through all the trouble of learning all about Danny Bunton. And Troy knew him, her, him, they, them.
So you talked about in the Hogwarts Legacy to those about to play Hogwarts Legacy video, which I watched. And I still need to play Hogwarts Legacy, but I still need to get a console worth playing it on.
You gotta try playing it because it's.
I'll play it.
I wouldn't get it on the Switch.
I will play Hogwarts. I'll play
because it's on the Switch now, but I wouldn't do that.
But it's going to be like the bad graphics.
Yeah.
Not
Part
of PS5.
Part of Hogwarts Legacy is like the graphics. It's.
I downloaded on PS4.
Absolutely nailed the coziness of the Harry Potter universe.
Yeah,
like
I got
perfectly. The castle is awesome.
I got it.
I worked on.
I downloaded it on my PlayStation and I played like I don't know a couple hours of it, and I just kind of dropped out. Like I don't know why it didn't grab me the way so many other people it seemed to have.
I think.
Like,
Did you read Harry Potter growing up?
No, I absolutely did. Well, not growing up. Like I was
Yeah,
23, 22 the first time I read Harry Potter. I mean, I liked him. I read all the books.
Yeah, I was in second grade when I started Harry Potter, and I
Oh,
read them
okay,
as
yeah.
they came out. So that's kind of like a my generation thing. Like
But I mean,
we
like I
loved
don't know.
Harry
Like everybody else liked the game. I mean, part of the problem is like I don't think I've turned on my PlayStation in this calendar
I
year.
haven't been able to
I'm
play
not
it
sure I
for a
have.
while. I bought the new Contra just because it was Contra, but it's kind of crap.
Yeah.
And but
And
I
like Mighty
still
Number 9.
I'm
Big
avoiding
one.
buying other stuff because I need to beat the Zelda or I'll hate myself forever. And I
You
still
have
it's like
not beaten Zelda?
I have the last little bit and I procrastinated it just like I procrastinated my Eagle project.
You got
I
the-
need to finish my Eagle project, man.
You bought Zelda when it came out.
Jared,
know,
he spends 2 hours a day in the gym. When is he gonna play video games?
No, I guess so. I'm just he's been at
Yeah,
the
honestly,
end.
haven't-
He's been at the end for months.
Like here's the question:
Yeah,
could you
but
play
that's 'cause-
Zelda?
that's 'cause
could
I
you
haven't
play
played it
Zelda
again.
on. Could you play Zelda on the on the Stairmaster or on the treadmill? Like, could you hold the
No.
controller and
Some
run?
multitasking. Come on,
I
man.
run
You can
too
do
fast.
It. They I've been playing through old Zelda games. I played through
Bionic
Ocarina.
Commando.
I
Bionic
love the old
Commando is a
Zeldas.
classic.
I just haven't picked it, and now I'm gonna have to like get good at it because what happened is I made a run at the final boss, but I did not have enough sunlight stuff, so all my hearts disappeared. And I'm like, dang it, I just got to save up
Dude.
a bunch of things and go make a better run. And
Dude.
then I sat there forever. And now if I go play it again, I'm gonna have to get good again to make a run at the final boss.
The final boss in this one is way better than it was in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, I got halfway through it. I just
honestly,
didn't have any way to replenish hearts.
Both of them are like they're not Zelda games to me. Like I like them, but they don't feel like Zelda games. The dungeons in Breath of the Wild suck ass. I don't like them.
Oh, I like those. All right,
they're all the
not
same.
they're not Zelda dungeons, but
No,
they're
and-
interesting.
But I did like the dungeons were a little bit better in Tears of the Kingdom. But I've been playing through. I played through Ocarina, and now I'm almost done with.
Where do you get
Majora's Mask.
Ocarina? That's not on the. You have to pull out the
You
old
can
console.
No. If you get the special N64 pass on Switch, you can play all those. And Majora's Mask is still my favorite Zelda game ever.
I haven't played Ocarina since back around when it came out, and I loved it back then. But I haven't played it again since like once it came out. When was that? 90 something.
It was in my childhood, so yeah, 90s. Like that was one of the first games. That's the whole reason I wanted a Nintendo was because of Zelda.
Yeah, I definitely beat that one and liked it.
First grade, I made a friend in second grade. It was second grade, and I made a friend in class. And they're like, let's play after school. And he said, okay, come to my house. And we walked to his house. And he's like, I'm going to play this video game. And I watched him play the original Zelda. And then I obsessed about it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was that year. It might have been the next year that for Christmas, my mom got my brother and I Nintendo and Zelda. And that's things like, that's it. On the one hand, like, cause looking back, like I'm so grateful for them. Like, cause when I was a kid, I was like, how come we only have one video game? Cause like my mom bought me, like she bought the Nintendo and then she bought Zelda, and that was all the Nintendo games my parents ever bought for us ever. We had those two games and we borrowed them. But like, I still remember the day that I beat the original Zelda because it was right before church. And then I saw the second quest start. And I was ready to go, and my mom's like, "It's time for church," and I'm like, "No!"
I
burned into my memory.
I became a mini celebrity in my little neighborhood because I was the first one to beat Zelda 2. And there was all these older kids that were like, "He beat Zelda 2, no way!" And I came over to the house to like see it and stuff.
That's the thing. Like Zelda 2 is like
I figured out the water temple. I remember my brother when I was on my mission. One of my youngest brothers was playing through Ocarina of Time the first time, and
Forrest says another example of harm of religion. Flip.
Yeah. No,
I give that one to you, Forrest. Totally.
They called me on Mother's Day, and they handed the phone to one of my younger brothers, and he's like, "Hey, are you having fun on your mission?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can you help me with Zelda?" I was like, "He's like." He's like, I'm stuck on the water temple. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
You're
very
probably
weird.
stuck on the part where you got to raise the water level all the way to the top, and you got to use the iron boots to sink down to the place where the platform was sitting, but now it's floating on top of the water. So you go under where the platform was. There's a secret compartment that has a key in it. That'll get you through. You'll figure it out. He's like, oh, that's the part everyone gets stuck on.
Man, you remember like Nintendo Power? Like it used to be, if you wanted to beat a video game, you had to wait till recess and then go out on the corner and say, "Does anybody know how to beat this section?"
Oh yeah,
That's how it was with like Zelda
that's
2
the
and all that
first
stuff.
the first website I ever went to. Well, so my friend told me to go to cheatplanet.com to look for video game cheats. And so,
Alright.
but I misunderstood him. I thought he just said cheat.com. That's the first website I ever visited.
That's
was
the first porn you ever saw?
cheat.com. I was like, whoa! It was like
So-
an early Ashley Madison or some shit.
I remember like those old school frequent like walkthroughs that were just like long written out walkthroughs, like no pictures, no anything.
Oh,
And you had to like
yeah.
read through them to find a spot. But Dragon Quest. I had Dragon Quest, which is kind of a crappy game if you look it up, but it's famous now because it
Oh, that was
the start of all your
classic.
things.
Oh, that
I was
that
at the end and I screwed up that stupid save you're supposed to do on a Nintendo. I screwed up. You didn't do the reset power. And I erased my whole entire game. And to this day, it eats at me. And I still feel I should go pull that game back out and beat it. There's been a couple games that I beat in adulthood that I didn't beat when I was young, and it did feel like working something out. It like really did.
Yeah, I know. That's the hell of having younger siblings. Though, is that they used to always just erase your save files.
Yeah.
One thing like with Link 2, that one time when I was a kid, and like I lost an entire year because I didn't realize, because like Link 2 was back before games were designed better, and it's possible in Link 2 to completely fuck yourself, which is like if you go like, because it's possible to enter the temples out of order, and if you do
And
them
then
out of order,
you
can
break the
grab
brick
yeah.
and-
Like whatever it is, like my situation was like I needed a key and it was impossible to get a key because I did things out of order and I didn't know it for like a year, and I just wasted, like I just kept going, like just crawling over every corner of that game going like, what am I missing, what am I missing, what am I missing, until I realized like, oh no, I broke the game. Like Mega Man 2 just
Mega
use
Man
Metal
2.
Man on everything.
Mega Man 2 is one of my favorite games. I beat that one all the time.
Mega Man 3 was
The secret is Metal Man. You do Metal Man first, and then his special power defeats almost all the enemies with no trouble.
Anyone here ever beat Battletoads?
No.
I beat Battletoads.
Wow.
That was a monster. And it takes so much muscle memory. To this day, I can get really far in it, just like I could get really far in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. But you have to have like the original console and all that stuff. Like if I buy one of those things on the Switch, it's not. I just can't.
They're not
do
the
it.
same. No, they don't feel the same.
Yeah.
Like there's some, like the timing. There's something about the timing that seems wrong. They don't feel the same.
Did you? So I don't know if it was in Mega Man 2, but in Mega Man 3 there was a cheat where if there were two controllers plugged in and second player held down
Oh yeah.
left on the
You
D-pad,
could super jump.
Yeah, you could super jump, and then if you jumped out of bounds, your health would go all the way down, but you could jump back out and you would be invincible after that.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, that's a
and
weird
you
thing.
couldn't shoot with your main Buster cannon, but you could. Anyway, Mega Man 3 was it's still my favorite video game soundtrack ever.
That original Turtles, I got to the dang. I never got to Shredder, but I got. If I look it up today, I was just like right outside of Shredder's place, so I got inside the Technodrome, but couldn't get to Shredder. And yes, it was a crazy hard game. And then you see stuff online of all these like different little tricks of like how you can beat it easier. And I'm like, I wish I would have known this, or wish I would have known that. But there's ways to beat Ninja Gaiden easier if you choose the right weapons, and that's true of that Ninja Turtles game as well. There's like secret weapons that if you go find them, it'll help you just get through like last parts like way easier. But that game was hard as crap, and it pissed me off. I went through what everybody else went through. Like I thought it was going to be the arcade game, and it was that wacky game. Galaga, I was good at Galaga too.
Man, Galaga.
I used to play the crap. I mean, that was like Atari, wasn't it? Or it didn't have any ending. You just go forever in that.
Yeah, I don't think Galaga had an ending.
Just a high points one. But
What about Star Tropics? That's a game I never finished because it was hard.
I didn't ever play it. I seen it. That's a Super Nintendo one, isn't it?
No, it was regular Nintendo. But it was kind of like a lot of people called it a Zelda knockoff. I don't know if that's fair, but
The game I couldn't get anywhere in, it drove me nuts, was called Legacy of the Wizard. And boy, and there's videos of it to this day of people saying it's kind of whacked out and weird. Boy,
I can't think of an example now. I just know that like in YouTube, I've had some moments of justification. Like I think like there's like a YouTube compilation of games that were sold broken, and like there's a couple of them like I know one, Black and White. I bought Black and White back in the 90s because it sounded so cool, and that game had so much potential. But it was sold broken. They sold a broken, unfinished game that was unfinishable, and it's just
there's a Guardian Legend. I always had a bitch of time. I couldn't, and that's an awesome game too. If you look up Guardian Legend, but I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, no, that's another one. I think that's another one that was like they're basically broken. Dreamcast, boy, that's a deep cut.
My friend had a Dreamcast.
The only reason I wanted a Dreamcast was for Sonic Adventure.
I never played the Sonic games. I mean, I played at my friend's house, but I never had one that I.
We had a Sega Genesis. It came with Mortal Kombat, but my mom got rid of that the second that
because it's bad.
Rip out a guy's spine.
What's wrong
but
with
no,
that?
the Dreamcast had Sonic Adventure. It had Crazy Taxi, which, by the way, you can get Crazy Taxi.
What's Crazy Taxi?
Oh my god, it was so much fun. I loved that. It's you just pick up. You're a taxi driver. You pick up people and you take them to destination. It's Simpsons had a ripoff.
Simpsons
of it.
Taxi. Yeah, I played that Simpsons Taxi.
There was two
that was
Simpsons
a ripoff of Crazy Taxi.
I played both the Simpsons. Yeah, they were all
both
right.
great. The first one was a ripoff of Crazy Taxi. The second one was you get out of your car. I love both of those games. They're great. But anyway, I sent a video to the group chat about
I saw that. That's terrible.
Why women should choose the Bears instead. I don't know. You can have
That's
it.
funny.
And then Sister Higgins sent us a bear meme too. Oh my gosh, this is okay.
Then we got
Yeah, I like how we're like, we got to 3 hours.
Yeah, we got to 3 hours. We're done.
Well, we should, if we run out of Mormons and weird political stuff to talk about.
I'm just so delighted that, like, I feel so ecstatic that Troy met Dan Bunton. Like, for some reason, that just tickles me.
The zoo's resident brown bear, Juniper, is spotted eyeing up a mama duck and her duckling.
Are those ducks put there on purpose to feed them?
No,
Oh, no. This is terrible, man.
Like, what is the mom thinking? Like, she's like,
At this moment said the children were excited to see the bears being so active, but they soon realized Juniper had a snack in her sight.
Oh my gosh.
This is amazing.
Behind the glass screen, onlookers, both adults and children, squealed in disbelief, shocked at what they had just seen.
The duck is getting its head ripped off, and it's like, at least it wasn't a man.
It's just a candy bar. He's just eating it like a candy bar. Oh my gosh. And those ducks have nowhere to go. They're all going to get eaten unless they get out of there.
That's a peak for a bear.
Oh gosh. I shouldn't have turned it off. It's still going.
Oh.
Hold on. How long does this go? Is this gonna rip them all up? Oh my gosh! Just right in front of the little girls.
Dude, that's funny.
I swear there's a Werner Herzog. Is that still going? It was not nice.
Mama, that wasn't nice.
Oh man!
Look at
well, there you go, guys.
Kids. Now he's going after the mom.
He's hungry. Okay.
And there's still another little baby. Oh my gosh!
I mean,
the mom won't fly away because of the babies. Oh, that's tragic.
I can't believe the video's still going. And they just keep filming it all. And he's trying to get the mom. That's the mom, right?
I don't know where the mom went.
Just a family massacre.
Jeez. Well, there you go. Good times.
And we'll end on Sister Higdon's meme here. Jeez, the freaking poor little duckies. The thing about the attacking bear too is it's always like portrayed in movies and everything like they're roaring and angry or something like that. It's just cold, hard murder, like just death eat you. And that's like one of the things that like Werner Herzog says about like the Grizzly Man. Like when he listened to the Grizzly Man's things, like the bear doesn't care. It ate the guy and his girlfriend. And they just sat there dying as it ate them, and it doesn't bother to kill them because it doesn't need to kill them. It just sits on top of them and eats them slowly.
Just
and
eat you ass first.
Listen to the whole entire thing. Yeah, they eat ass first.
You need to delete this footage.
Nobody should listen to this ever. No one should ever. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. The bear wishing she'd chosen a man after 10 minutes of her asking if the bear would love her if she was a worm. All right. Good luck. Go out there and let all the women in the world know we're not toxic. We're safe.
All right. Yeah. No,
I promised I would do my part of telling men don't rape.
I'm gonna run down the street. I'm gonna see a lady walking, and then I'm gonna run up behind her. And then I'm gonna tackle her, and I'm gonna get in her face. I'm gonna be like, "I'm not gonna eat your face. I'm just gonna walk away. Watch me walk away. I'm just gonna walk away.
I'm gonna do my part. Flip. Don't do that. Don't rape.
Oh man, Chris has done so much to stop male violence now. What do they want us to do? Do they want us to just like sit in circles and be like, "Oh, by the way, since we're here having some beers and hanging out, don't hit women and don't rape"?
But like, if I just get a T-shirt that says like "It's wrong to rape," does that mean am I doing my part? Do I get a pass now?
Will I get toxic masculinity? I saw a video this week of Machine Gun Kelly saying he likes to wear a kilt because it reduces the toxic masculinity in the world.
Machine Gun Kelly is retarded. But
I guess because it's a dress.
He actually pretty perfectly replicated like a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater album.
Really?
When I was a kid, I had a kilt. Like sometimes I would dress up in a kilt for historical purposes. And there was one summer, it was a hot summer, and I was wearing the whole kilt and the whole get up and the skiing do and all the get up. And then it was hot. And I went inside a building, and then I walked over an air conditioning vent, and I just stood there, and I was like, oh, this is why women like skirts. Ah, that's nice. There you go. That makes it all make sense.
Here's Sam Hyde making fun of Machine Gun Kelly, and they see Machine Gun Kelly to be like he wants to show that he's punk. He goes to like a bunch of corporate guys' place who are listening to his album and stuff, and he
careers.
Yeah, he shows them,
and it was like
how
corny
punk
both
he is.
times. And now, like whatever label he was on, they were just looking for a guy that with tattoos that they could like put out as like a little peep type of guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's just so because it's like supposed to be like punk or whatever, but it's just obviously not.
So here he is at a corporate meeting.
This is the punk corporate meeting.
Oh my god!
He gets up on the table.
Oh, this poor guy, man.
Imagine being these people and having to sit there and pretend that this is a serious person.
That reminds me of like something I like times in high school where you do something you really want to kill yourself after.
Yeah.
Like, you do something in high school that's so embarrassing that like the only possible option in your mind is like suicide.
Yeah, I remember like dancing over this kid after I hit him in lacrosse one time, and I think about it all the time, and it was so gay. Like I did that. I was Machine Gun Kelly that day.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I was like, oh, like I crushed this kid. I was like, I want to die when I think about it.
No. He should feel that way about the song "Emo Girl," though. That one was so fucking awful.
I would feel like if you went to some corporate meeting about your hardcore band and you got up to show how badass you were up on the corporate table, I would definitely want to jump off the planet thinking about having done that and having it on the internet and people looking at it like, look at this dude, he's hardcore. He got up on the corporate table to show him how punk he was. But that's what the world is. All we got is simulacra of punk and hardcore nowadays.
Oh, hot damn.
So, well, alrighty.
Alrighty.
Let's see. Yep.
Cool.
Have a blast. Play some games. People go on the Longhouse and tell us like cool indie games or other games to check out. Maybe we'll just talk about games and determinism in the future. Turn into like a full Coomer cast. So, all right.
All right.
Later.
See ya.
Blanc.